Hello, friends. The commissions are back. It is July 20 something, 20th, right? And we have some trades to talk about. We have some fantasy baseball content for you. Eric, you must be feeling pretty good about where you're at. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Look at us getting two pods within a few weeks span here. We're giving the people what they want. Yeah, we're in a really interesting position in the league right now. I'm feeling pretty good myself. I think there's a little bit of luck involved with my schedule, maybe somewhat. If you really throw the roto score in the head to head, but hey, I will not take it. So I'm loving it right now, feeling pretty good. But yeah, it's we're in that really the dog days of almost August here when it comes playoff time for us. So it's gonna get interesting.
Yeah, I know you certainly won't complain about the luck you've had a little bit this year with some maybe
Yeah.
favorable head-to-head matchups, or maybe just some strategery, some might say, of knowing how to handle an opponent. Who knows? Yeah, I'm back from being a little bit of a world traveler the last 2 weeks.
Busy
It's
guy.
nice being a teacher over the summer, have a little more time on our hands here to hop in, record a little bit of a podcast here. So on the
I
the
feel
agenda.
Tyler cringes every time he hears like teacher off summer. He like cringes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he can cringe all the way to the bank because he's the one keeping the lights on in here.
Yep.
So
Thank
he's
you. Got to
basically
shout it out.
paying our salary to keep this pot alive. So on the agenda today, we're going to probably do not as much necessarily team by team, but we're going to focus on the transactions that have made. We might take a look at kind of who our top teams are, who our bottom teams are in regards to who is set up the best for next year. So we got about what we say 12 trades to look over since
I'm
July
10.
1st. 10.
10 with a couple being quick one for ones. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
couple bigger ones, a couple smaller ones. And before we jump into that, Eric, let me ask you this. Do you have a bigger kind of take on what you've seen this year from the trade landscape and kind of patterns that you've seen? Because the one thing that's really throwing me off is it's kind of hard to evaluate trades when it seems like this is like the year of like the blockbuster. We don't haven't really seen like the one keeper for one C contract, one non-keeper kind of trade. It's like, nope, if I want keepers, I want all of them for all of my best players, and I'm just gonna kind of throw it all away in one deal. And we have seen less like the smaller ones. You think you know if any reason why that is?
It's really tough. I just feel like some years it's hard to match up trades with certain people. Last year, obviously, I think we broke the league. I remember we looked at it. It's fun to kind of look at year to year, and we'll have to see where we end up landing this year with trades. But I know last year, I think the record got broken, and I think sometimes maybe we like if we compared this year to the first handful of years, we might be around the same or even a tad bit higher. I think last year was just pandemonium, man. Last year we really did have so many trades that made a lot of sense for people. But also, I think there is a little bit of trade fear in making the right trade or making the trade at the right time. Um, I think guys that maybe have A contracts don't want to trade them for any reason. They're a keeper. They're a keeper. When I do think we will talk about a trade here coming up that is, I think, creative in a sense where it still helps both teams quite a bit. So I think we kind of talked a little bit about pre-show too. Getting creative with trades can happen in this league where you can make trades happen that are a little bit maybe not so obvious to the eye. And I think we might see some of that, but honestly, we've also talked about how most of the big assets are probably gone. So I don't know if we're going to see any huge blockbusters like you mentioned.
Yeah, Scott White actually a year or two ago wrote an article about like why does it feel like nobody trades as much, and it's not a problem that we have here in the Boys of Summer. But I think that kind of build off what you were saying is I think that people lean more towards like the big buy, the big sell, the
Yeah.
blockbusters because I think they're afraid of being wrong, and like I know I am too. Like if I'm giving up 1A contract for a C pitcher who throws his arm out after one start, I'm like, what? Oh, that was such a waste. Like I'm fearful, like what could go wrong, or I'm fearful that the A contract I gave up is going to outperform the C contract. But maybe it's like when you get those big blockbusters, you kind of almost build in some fail safes a little bit, where you're like, well, I'm getting several assets here, and even if the top piece doesn't work out, then at least I'm still getting a couple other pieces that are still going to work out. And for the sellers as well, they don't want to give up their best trade piece and get one guy that maybe he's a keeper, maybe he's not, maybe underperforms and turns out not to be a keeper for the following year. And so I think there's just maybe like some I'll say it, some cowardice, and I'll wear it on the chest a little bit because I get fearful of that too when making deals. It's like, well, I don't want you mentioned it more of like I don't want to help the other team. I'm just more like I don't want to screw myself. Like I don't want to trade myself out of contention as we've seen some teams do here in the past. So I thought it
No,
was
and I don't think you're wrong on that either. And I do think there is room out there to see more um, one for like easy one for one trades. Like, hey, I'll help you, you help me. But like I said, when you also get to this point, it's tough because I think some teams do look at like, hey, I'm a little bit above you in the standings, or honestly, if I'm seeing you struggling right now, what's going to make me want to help you to like get in the playoffs because your team looks dangerous in the playoffs. And I don't think you look at that like a month ago. Like I'm not really concerned about that in June, but when we really are this close to the playoffs, are you going to trade with Dexter and be wrong? Are you going to trade with Spelly and be wrong? Like that's where it kind of gets tough. And when a lot of those teams that have already sold, whether it's Tyler or Krim or Jordan a little bit here or there, it's kind of tough. It's like a barren landscape. Like what else do you go after? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I would like to see a little bit more of the creative trades. Like we said, we saw with Bryson Krim, just with Castro for Owen Casey there.
Yeah.
It doesn't just because you're done selling, just because you're done with expiring contract doesn't mean you have to be done dealing. So and just because you are don't have necessarily the injured guys or key pieces, with trading a guy like Cam Schlittler, as we'll talk about here in a little bit, just to make your team better. It's cool to see some of those trades and see the creativity because a lot of us, myself included, can be a little bit close-minded with some things sometimes.
Yeah, well, and I know, yeah. Sometimes and it's easy to look at a trade as like a simple like that's they're better than them. They're an A. But
Mhm.
they're sometimes there's and that's what makes this league so fun is there is so much nuance to it. And I think that's why it is so much fun to trade
Yeah.
in this league because like you've always said with football, even in a keeper league in football, there's still so many restrictions. In a
Mhm.
redraft league, you are trying to make your team better. There's no other reason not to, right? So
Yep.
there's simplicity to it. While in this league, there's all kinds of layers to that. And again, it's kind of interesting. Before we get into the trades, even Spelly kind of was like, "Man, I just his first year in the league, he's like, I don't know how to feel about like some of these guys being traded for what they're being traded for." And I'm like, "Man, there's so many different ways to look at it. Someone's a
Yep.
C, they're not being kept. They might have traded it for a superstar Vlad that's $39, but it's really for a month and a half, right? Because no
Yeah.
one's keeping Vlad next year for 59. So it really is interesting to see like truly what is a $39 or not even 30 because it doesn't matter. What is Vlad worth in terms of getting a keeper back? And he got what? A tiny little piece. Dalen Lyle, right? And we'll
Yeah.
talk about those. So it's kind of interesting to see some of those and see kind of how it affects our league.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So without further ado, we'll kind of jump right in here. We'll go kind of just go maybe alphabetical order, talk about any transactions. Maybe we'll kind of tie it together in a bow there at the end about how we're feeling about some different squads here. But we don't need to do like full team analysis here, but we can maybe take a look at the piece and see at the team and see like, is there a trade that still maybe needs to be made here? And kind of
Right.
where we can kind of go from there. So with Spelly here, we have one trade since the last pod where he gave up Santander, Matt Chapman, and Aroldis Chapman to the Chapman Bros, and he got back Alex Bregman and Edwin Diaz. This is a trade that off rip, I was immediately siding with Phil here on thinking he got the better of Matt here. It's one that it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, given the reasons that we kind of hashed out in the chat already, which is I think Chapman will be better than Diaz rest of season. I think from here on out, including the fact that Diaz isn't back yet, and we don't know exactly when he'll be back. Maybe it's the next week, maybe it's the following week. But even if it is like next week, we don't really know if he's going to be the closer. We don't know from a performance standpoint if he's going to be that great. I mean, he had a great year last year, but the year before that was a little bit shaky, 3.5 ERA. Granted, still some quality strikeouts and solid whip. This year in 7 games was bad, but it's a 7 game sample size. What's one bad outing really can be the death of you there. But I mean, Chapman is showing no signs of slowing down, and it plays on a team in Boston that has won 13 games in a row. He's just kind of reeling off saves here, and he's the go-to closer. He doesn't share with anybody, and so it's not necessarily an indictment against Diaz, but I just think that Chapman has no reason to think we have no reason to think that Chapman won't be better than Diaz.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. I think rest of season it makes sense too. And if you're Spelly, who's very much in it, it is a gamble because I do think Bregman is heating up while Matt Chapman is out. I know there's two Chapmans in this trade, so it kind of makes it confusing.
Mhm.
But Matt Chapman hasn't been great. In fact, Matt Chapman and Alex Bregman's numbers were eerily similar until
Mhm.
the last 10 or 15 games of Alex Bregman, where he's kind of pulled away
Yeah.
from that a little bit. But so I guess you're kind of trading like an injured guy for a healthy guy with an injured guy for. But overall, I do like this from Phil's perspective because honestly, at the end of the day, I think you could argue you're not keeping Matt Chapman, so I don't really know why he was necessarily thrown in there.
Mhm.
Um, But in terms of Aroldis Chapman and Santander, as much as Santander hasn't played in 2 years, for $3, I think I'd take the risk in the gamble and keep him, especially if he comes back. He doesn't look like he's coming back this year, but we'll see. And Aroldis Chapman, no matter what, I don't care if he is 39. I know I brought up his age a lot in that discussion about Diaz versus Chapman, but at 39 years old, I don't care. You keep him at $2 as long as he's got a closing job in the MLB. So I
Yeah.
really like it from Phil's perspective. It is more of a question mark from Spelly. I think the gamble's there. Like, if his team does make the playoffs, I do think Bregman and Diaz August 15th on might be better. Um, so I think I do understand where he came from, but overall, in terms of like who I like this trade more for, I really like it for Phil because I think Chapman and Santander is keeper in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Santander for Bregman is almost an overpay because I don't know. At this point, it sucks to say, and like I'll eat the crow there on the preseason trade, but Bregman wasn't really much of an asset for the numbers he was putting up
No.
prior to this past weekend, and so it's like, oh, my third base problems have been solved now that Alex Bregman is here, and I'm like, well, I don't know if that's the case because Bregman
No.
I think was like not even a top 25 third baseman before going into, let's see here. Yeah, I don't even see him on here. So he was not in the top 20. He's the number 23 first baseman or third baseman on the year. So it's just like, well, did you actually get a starting quality third baseman out of the deal or
Right.
no? But it's just weird because it just seems like, maybe could have done better with that Santander piece if somebody wanted
Sure.
him. But maybe people just didn't. And so kind of left with Bregman was the best he could do. Because I know I asked about Santander a few times, and I kind of got shut down each time. That they're never even a conversation. And then it's funny how this kind of happens here. I even think that even when Diaz is back, I don't think that he will be better than Chapman, just because I don't think they're going to give him every save. I think Scott was really well in the closer role, and he's the lefty. So I think that it's going to be probably lineup specific, who's kind of coming up in the order and who's going to get the saves. I don't think they're just going to give Diaz every save opportunity from here on out, from the Dodgers' perspective, because
No, but
now
I
that
think he's going to get first look most of the time. Like if he hasn't pitched 2 days in a row, I do think he is the first look closer. I don't see why he wouldn't be.
I would
He's,
imagine they ease him in too. I mean,
yeah.
even if he's back next
Oh
week,
yeah.
it'd be a
Why
couple.
not, right? With the lead they have and everything. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like if anything, they do have him in as the closer because they just want to get him conditioned and ready for when it matters the most. Like why not throw him in there, you know?
So could be a difference maker. So as we kind of look at Spelly's team, Spelly is absolutely surging. Not
Yeah.
to be under what's the word I'm looking for? Blah, 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 blah. Like not to be under blah mistaken almost. But he has actually been one of our top teams. If you
Yeah.
go back from, let's see, if we sort this by the start of July, I think he's been maybe our top team. He's second best team behind Peter, with basically he's been 116 roto points if you start July 1st. But even if you go back another full month from June 1st, you're looking, he is the number one
Yeah.
team. So the
Mhm.
last month and a half, he has been the best team. Better than Peter, better than Bryce, better than you, better than me. And oh,
Yeah.
look at Chad down at number
Bad.
nine there.
Uh-oh.
That'll be a
Uh-oh.
conversation for later. Certainly did not see that coming.
No.
He's a team that's playing well behind Benny Barrels and a couple other guys. So do you see this as kind of a complete team, or do you think that there's moves left, or you kind of roll with what he's got here and that just is what it is?
I'm gonna stick to kind of what I said on the pod the other day. Or not the other day, the last time. I really think that all the six playoff teams that get in, I don't think there's gonna be a bad team. But if there was a team I would want to play in the playoffs, despite how hot it's been, I'm gonna say it's Spelly's team. And I'm not saying it can't stay hot. I'm not saying it can't do some of those things. But like, even though your team's been struggling, and we'll talk more about your team later with stuff, but I really think if I had to pick a perfect playoff opponent, it'd be Spelly right now. I do know Devers is heating up. Rice is on fire. Even Bobby Witt is starting to get going. But overall, the offense just doesn't scare me, and I think the offense is better than the pitching because the pitching, he's got some guys that are just putting up numbers that I don't want to say never heard of, but Shane Drohan, Cade Cavalli, obviously, with his big beaning of Contreras a couple weeks ago, but like
Yeah.
I just in terms of a playoff rotation, that just does not scare me. And that's where I think if there is a move to be made, I do think it is a pitching move. But again, how handcuffed is he? What moves can he make? Blah blah blah. This and that. But like, I just I don't that does not strike fear in me at all. And I'm not saying that rotation is to strike fear in you, but looking at all the playoff rotations, I would argue it's probably going to be the worst if he gets in.
Yeah, probably one of the worst. I mean, it's got some upside. Cavalli's been pitching well the last couple weeks as well. He's had some kind of good starts here and there.
Right.
If we look at his last 30 days, a 3.3 ERA, 1.1 WHIP, 38 strikeouts in 30 innings. So he's
Yeah.
kind
I
of
mean,
getting it
they are
going.
performing. No one's doing bad in his
Yeah.
rotation.
And
But
Yuri Perez is really starting to kind of put it together as well. And so if you count Mackenzie Gore as a piece that is not bad. I mean, it's your sixth starter, and Ian Seymour and Gage Jump have shown flashes of upside too. So in the right matchup, if they get hot, they can. I mean, they have the upside to it, but we also are relying on Yuri Perez's health and some of these other guys that haven't really been proven. So I think that it's not dead in the water by any means, and I know you're not saying that, but it's
right.
certainly like the odds are better that this is not a quality rotation than the odds are that this is a quality rotation. I would
And if I'm him, I know we talked about maybe looking at trades. If I'm him, like I'm dangling Carter Jensen around for something because again, a $4 A catcher, one of the top prospects in baseball coming into this year. He's looking at probably being
he
a
doesn't need
20.
them.
Yeah, he's looking at being probably like a 20-80 guy for $4. Like, what can you get for that? Is anyone willing to give up a pitcher or something along those lines? So I think that's what you got to dangle a little bit. But
Yeah, I think that's probably the one piece that he has because it's the one piece that you look at where it's like it's expendable. Where
yeah,
it's like he doesn't need this. I mean,
not
obviously, you could
taking
trade
away
him
too
for
much.
Ben Rice or something like that if you wanted to, if a team wanted to buy on that. But how much better are you going to get from doing that? Like, I could see him trading Ben Rice for Juan Soto or something if Bryce were to have a bad head-to-head week.
Or
But
is
even
or
then,
is
I probably wouldn't
Jansen
do that.
playing well enough where you trade Ben Rice for an ace and then you
Mhm.
slot Jensen in? I don't know.
Yeah. I think for the memes, I don't think that he would ever entertain trading Ben Rice
Yeah.
there. So, do you think that there's a team out there that you could target pitching from that maybe still has a pitcher that you think would be worth giving up Carter Jensen for, or
Hmm.
you want to save that? I've kind of put you on the spot there, so maybe as we kind of comb through some
Yeah,
teams.
let's comb through a little bit more and I'll see because I'm gonna look through some of these teams that are kind of out of it and kind of look at that. Yeah.
Okay. So we said Matt, maybe a pitcher. To me, I also think that the lineup just has just a few just holes in it. There's to me there's just not enough there to really sustain and I mean it's a month and a half of being the best roto team, so it's kind of hard to argue that. But I worry about these Mets outfielders with Luis Roberts actually coming back right now, I think today. And I don't know if that's going to do anything for the playing time of Benjamin Ewing. I can't imagine that the Mets are going to want to bench those guys in favor of Luis Robert, but
Right.
or if they're going to find a trade partner or whatever else. But I mean, money talks as well. So maybe they just get off days here and there, or kind of cycle them in. There's just like a lot of guys in the lineup that just aren't really contributing a whole lot. With whether it's Ewing or Merrill from a power and OEP standpoint, or Brandon Nimmo hasn't really done
Right.
anything this year, or Eldridge who's been hot and cold, and Carter Jensen's been in and out of his lineup. Bowers was off to a blitzering start. Now he's kind of starting to slow down, and Andrew Vaughn's taking some of his at bats now that he's back. And so,
I
Colton
got one for
Emerson,
you.
yeah, okay,
Okay. Yeah, I just combed through a lot of the teams that are out of it. There's really not much pitching left at all.
yeah,
Um, Carter Jensen and he's not been good, but do you
Freddie,
take the risk? Carter
Freddie
Jensen for
Peralta.
Freddie Peralta.
Yeah, I figured that's where you're going with it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be one of my things. I actually have a Freddie Peralta trade later,
Okay.
but I think that's one that would make sense.
Yeah.
For both teams, I think I would do that. But Chris is gonna be a tough one to see like where he's kind of at because he right now he's hanging on. He hasn't made a move yet. He's right there on the cusp of like being eliminated. He's not in a playoff spot. He's what I think like 8 games
Ooh.
back of an actual playoff spot, right?
Yeah, I
Something
think
like
he's
that.
pretty much in sell mode. He's
But
got
he
it.
does play me next week, so if it's like he could take my playoff spot with a good week next week.
We're talking like a 9 or 10 a week though,
Uh-huh.
right?
He's I don't know if he's that far behind me.
But you're also not the sixth spot,
Yeah, let's see here. I think I am right now.
are you? Okay.
Uh, no, am I not?
No, you got the periods
Oh,
up
okay.
wrong.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's like wait a second. Yes, I'm the
Oh
sixth
yeah,
spot
you are.
now.
Okay.
So let's see here. I'm 15 and a half back, and he is
He's six and a
22.
half.
So yeah. So he's 6.5 games back of me right now.
Right in danger zone there. I mean, he really has to. I think he has to have like a 7 or 3 8 and 2 week this week for sure.
Yeah. So,
Regardless of, yeah, I think he
mhm.
has to.
And right now he is at 3-6-1. He's playing Tyler though, so I mean
There's
he
some
could
room.
he could
Tyler's been on a
take it.
heater though lately, taking teams out of the playoff races. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
He sure has. So, yeah, I think that's one that makes sense. Maybe even he could throw in another bat or something with it.
Yeah. I mean,
Chris
again,
Smith.
why not, right? Yeah.
But we'll take a look at Chris roster in a little bit and see what he kind of has to give up there, or go one way or the other. So, yeah, and I was just saying like how I just look at Spelly's team and like they're just a lot of guys here that aren't contributing enough for what
Yeah.
I would consider like it's certainly not a complete lineup, and
There's
you have
holes.
some guys here. You have your Ben Rice and Bobby Witt and kind of Devers, who's kind of starting to turn it on, but like we
Yeah.
don't see the top end talent here, and we see guys here that just aren't really giving you a whole lot on a week to week basis either. So,
Right.
yeah, I just don't know if it has enough gas to really make enough damage. But yeah, we've been wrong before, and so it's been proving us wrong
Sure.
for a month and a half. So, so we'll kind of see. So, next we'll move
Yeah,
on
I
to
mean, we're actually exactly, I know this is the long week, but we're exactly 3 weeks, left of head-to-head regular season, like
yeah.
to the day.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
All right, so next we'll go to the Beantown boys here. Bryce's squad here. He has made one trade since the
Quick
last.
little one for one.
Yeah. Who do you like better for 2027, which is I think what this is really about? A $1 Willie Castro or a $4 Owen Casey?
Um, Probably, honestly, probably Willie Castro. I think the position versatility helps a lot. And again, I think again, there's no reason for me not to keep a $1 Willie Castro if he's playing every day. Because again, he's just one of those guys that even if you in an 18-week head-to-head season, even if you're starting him in your lineup 3 weeks, like again, that's just worth it to have that depth. He's owned in almost 70% of leagues. He starts in almost half of Fantrax leagues. So that clearly shows you that he is like a contributor to many fantasy teams out there. So to me, I mean, again, not going to spend too much time on this trade. I've probably already spent more breath than I need to, but I like it's I guess it's a little bit more of a coin flip. You're going for more the high ceiling and the top prospect pedigree and Casey, but I'm probably taking Castro, yeah.
I'm gonna go the other way. Again, not we don't need to spend too much breath on it, but I actually like
Yeah.
the Casey side of it better, just because I don't. Willie Castro is like all those stats are replaceable, and the one thing that the reason why I drafted Castro was the report earlier in the offseason that was like they were going to be aggressive with him on the base. They're giving him the green light, and I'm like, ooh, like is he going to steal like 30 or 40 bases this year, kind of like he did
Never.
in 2023 where he stole 33 bases. And I'm like.
Sole outlier of his career there I'm looking at too, which is crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, he had like double digit steals in a couple of those other years. And basically
Yeah, but
every
you
year
got to think
since.
he's got 81 in his career and 33 of them came in 1 year. That's almost half.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's never really been a full-time player.
No, he's
But he
not.
had so the following year he had 14, the year after that he had 10. And so they're like, oh, they want him running more. So I was like, oh, maybe they're gonna get 25, 30 steals or 40 steals out of him. So I was like, if he's putting up these numbers, if it was, yeah, at the end of the year it's 15 homers, but 30 steals, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
sign me up for that. But I look at this stat line, I'm like, there's nothing here that helps a fantasy team. He's not plus anywhere. And so these are waiver wire stats that I just don't, even for a buck, like it's just not even worth, especially if you're a team that like has 12 keepers, like this wouldn't be one of my 12 because he's not really helping you anywhere. It's a guy that you can either pick up for a buck at the end
My
of the
thing is
draft
though,
or pick
is
up
if
on the
you don't
waiver.
have 12, if you have 9 and he's your 10th, why not keep him though? Because
If
he's
he's a top 300 player, then sure. That's
But
about where
you see what I'm
where I
saying
kind of
though?
come.
It's not like you're putting $5 extra
You're not
in.
losing anything, yeah.
You
Uh,
can't get him any cheaper.
Mhm. Yeah, but I'd rather I'm a $1 A than a $1 B. But it's not going to hurt. Paying $1 for Willie Castro shouldn't hurt you. But it's
Right.
hard. He's never a guy that you feel good about having in your lineup. And
But I
Owen
guess that's my point.
Casey,
Is his Owen Casey worth that
he's probably
forget-go
not a
dollar?
keeper right now. But all it's going to take is like one good month for it to be like, oh, Owen Casey, like he
Yeah.
could be something. Like
The
Willie
power was
Castro is
there.
not going to be a guy that's going to help you win a championship, but Owen Casey could be.
Yeah. Well, and to think too, it says he has 82 games, which some people would say that's half a season, but really he's been a platoon bat a lot of the time. He only has 218 at bats and 12 home runs. Like that to me shows there's 25, 30 home run power in that swing. If he plays more regularly or gets better against lefties.
Yeah, despite being a part-time player, he's got on pace for 100 RBIs.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I mean 218 at bats, 50 RB. I mean, it's a pretty good pace.
Yeah, so shout out former Cub Owen Casey there.
Heck yeah.
As we wander over to Bryce's team here, it's been a surprise. It's been a surging
Yeah.
Cinderella himself,
It has.
herself, theyselves, surging from the depths of his 6 foot grave that we put him in not too long
Yeah.
ago. And shame on us. Shame on us for doing that. I don't know how much we actually said he was out of it, but because like I said, we said you trust Bryce, give him the benefit of the doubt. He likes his
Yeah.
team. we tried burying him a little bit, but he kind of, he's proven time and time again that he will not stay down. So if we
Yep.
look at kind of where he's been at for the last couple weeks here, if I go back to where I was at before, I think we said he was what the
He's been
number
right up there
three
with,
team since
yeah.
June 1st. And I think if we go back even further than that, I think he's been probably the best team since, and yeah, if we go back the last 2.5 months, he has been literally the number one team over the past
Yep.
2.5 months.
Crazy, right?
Might even be since the start of April. That might be true too. Ah,
Now
no.
let me ask you this. Are you a believer in this team though? Like if this team made the playoffs, we just looked at Spelly's team. I think this is a perfect comparison because I've been doing the homework as I'm looking at it right now. I've been kind of looking over the team. Okay. Would you be more scared of Spelly's team or Bryce's team in the playoffs? Because I think it's actually I think it's
It is
close.
it is pretty close. Yeah. Oh man.
You got to
I feel like
I think you got to give Bryce it's weird because I think
I'm
you got
gonna
to
give
give Bryce
Bryce the managerial edge, even though I
yeah,
think I might like Spelly's roster better. I'll give Bryce the benefit of the doubt because he deserves it. I don't want to
yeah,
just be like, we need to stop disrespecting him and then be like, here you go, Bryce. Here's
right.
a nice cock smack for you.
Well, the
Um,
interesting thing too, I think, is weirdly, I think I'd take Bryce's pitching, but numbers wise, his pitching hasn't been as good as Spelly's, which is
mhm.
interesting. But like, I'm taking Hunter Brown, I'm taking Rasmussen, you know what I mean? I'm just
Yeah.
Tanner Beebe, but I don't know. And I would say I think Bryce has better stars in terms of hitting, whether they're performing well or not. Kyle Tucker, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It is tough though. I almost feel like Spelly's team's maybe more well rounded, but.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, I might like this team a little bit better because it has. I think like the role pieces are kind of comparable when it comes to especially their offense and pitching, but this one has a little bit more of the top tier offense, like you just said, with Julio and Juan Soto that just they're in a different caliber than I even think that the combo like Ben Rice and Devers and I guess Terang would be. Although Terang's having a hell of a season as well. So
Yeah,
he's benching Kyle Tucker. Wow, he's made some questionable lineup decisions
I
all
know.
throughout the year that I'll message him about and be like, "You're really benching Tyler Soderstrom or whatever else?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, just like hop off my jock and trust me here." And I'm like, "All right." And then sure enough, the guys kind of work out. So, um,
Well, I
yeah,
think too that he's been so strapped with the cap room with Tucker that and I just wonder what the mindset behind that was. I guess I
yeah.
get like the gamble of getting better, but like if he puts him in his lineup, he is so handcuffed like he cannot add any dollars. So it's one of
Mhm.
those things like that's not only a gamble, but it's like you're kind of handcuffing yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes it a little bit limited here. He doesn't have a ton of options. I mean, Christian Scott, Urania, like they've also shown some flashes. They both got sub three ERAs, so yeah, maybe that kind of makes it feel better. Bubic, if he comes back, Abel, I think is gonna be out for the year. So yeah, I think there's just more options here on more flexibility on what he could turn
Yeah.
into, kind of some upside here.
Now,
But
okay,
it's
let me
almost
ask you this though. We're looking at these two teams, Bryce and Spelly. Spelly's in, I would say comfortably right now. Bryce is not. Um, would you say if Bryce, like if obviously you say you're saying you like Bryce's team a little bit more than Spelly's,
yeah.
right? So if Bryce was the only team to get in though over Spelly, would he still be the worst playoff team? Like, are we talking maybe the two
Yeah,
worst that?
probably.
Okay,
I would think so. Because I actually don't think we're have to worry. Like whoever gets in, like I don't think both teams get in.
both get in. Yeah, sure.
I mean, I hope both teams don't get in because if both teams get in, that means I didn't get in. Is really
Right.
probably what it comes down to.
And if
So
both teams get in, I'm probably happy because again, I still think
yeah,
your team's better than these come
yeah,
playoff time. Yeah.
yeah. We shall see. I got to take care of some business here. So yeah. Do you think that there's a move that Bryce needs to make here before the trade deadline gets to us though in 2 weeks?
I'll be honest, since we're talking about his team and his playoff chances, I think it's important to look at his matchup right now. And granted, we do have a full week of play left, so a lot of these things can change. But I mean, we have 120 at bats in right now. So I mean, for a lot of teams, so that is a lot. He is going against a really tough team in Dexter, and he's getting 2-5-3 right now.
Mhm.
Now a lot of the categories are close: home runs, RBIs, OB. Like I do think all of these are up for grabs. Dexter had a horrible pitching Thursday through Sunday. So really, I do think this matchup is wide open. I wouldn't read into him being down 2-5-3 right now. If for some reason though he does 4-6 or 5-5, I do think he switches to sell mode. I think you have to. Um, if he goes 7-3, 8-2, I think you got to go all for it. And that's why I think Bryce is in such an interesting position because like if I'm in sell mode, let me trade Soto to a contender. He's probably the last big fish left. What do you guys got? Hit me up. Maybe even Julio Rodriguez. Julio Rodriguez isn't being kept at $52. So I actually think Bryce is the most interesting team left to kind of see where they're going because I do think they have big trade pieces, but I also think that there's not really much they can do to contend more either, though. They kind of just have to right the ship.
Yeah, he's 4.5 back of a playoff spot. I don't think you're gonna be able to convince him to sell, but maybe it'll have to be like maybe after he'll have time after next week actually. And that's kind of a with the trade deadline being as late as it is.
Yeah.
It's inconvenient that the major league. I wish like the MLB trade deadline was like on like the Sunday where you
Yeah.
kind of you had to make the trades before you knew like the out result of the matchups. But like we're gonna know like what the result. We're gonna have 1 week left, and we're gonna know the results of the matchup. Like, and he's
Yep.
probably gonna be staring down it's possible a 7 game deficit. He's four and a
Right.
half back now.
Well, and that's why I don't love the
He's
deadline
looking
being as
like he's
close to.
gonna. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's looking like he's gonna lose ground on Dex here, potentially, but things could turn around there.
The
Now, if he
matchup is
turns this thing
close.
around and goes 7-2-1 on Dex, he's
Yeah.
gonna really climb up because he's gonna knock Dex down a peg, and Dex could
Yeah.
be kind of on the outside, looking in there. So, and and me, if I think these trends continue and Jordan's team keeps popping off like it is, he's gonna gain some ground on me. Even if he goes 5-5, he could gain some ground on somebody. Um,
Right.
so yeah, we'll kind of see. He'll be a tough guy to convince to sell, but yeah, like I said, if it is 8 games out with one to go, then maybe
Yeah.
that's what it turns
And that's why I
into.
don't love the deadline being so close because at the end of the day, with an hour left in the deadline, if he still has Juan Soto on his roster, who's to say, well, you might as well get something for it, and then all of a sudden the
Yeah,
team gets Juan Soto, and that's what I don't love.
there's only a couple teams probably with the salary cap space for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. All right, next we'll go to the BDBs, the overcompensation squad, Dana's squad here. He has made. How many trades since the last? 2 trades since the
Yep.
last one. This one flew under the radar. The first one that he made, where he acquired Casey Schmidt, Sonny Gray, Rainier Suarez, and David Hamilton. Gave Spencer Steer, Bailey Ober, Jonathan Aranda, and Seth Lugo.
Yep.
It was kind of overshadowed by the other trade that Krim made that day, I thought. And so
Yeah.
I actually didn't even see this one when it first happened. Like till later in the day, I was like, oh, I didn't even see that happened.
Yeah. It was a crazy day.
Um,
That All-Star break, man.
yeah. So what do you think about these being the pieces? Well, let's focus on Dana's perspective here. What do you think of these being the pieces that he acquired? Casey Schmidt, Sonny Gray, Rainer Suarez, and David Hamilton.
From purely Dana's perspective, I liked it because I think Steer and Schmidt, you can almost. I actually think Schmidt right now is probably outplaying Steer by a bit, so I think you can almost look at that as like a little bit
Yeah, he put
higher.
up really good numbers on the year.
Yeah, yeah, they're close, but I think I would look at Schmidt being higher, but Steer's a keeper, right?
Hmm. Eh,
Ober's not really pitched great this year, so he's giving him up. Aran is really the big piece that was helping Dana right now.
yeah.
And even still, like the runs are kind of low for Aranda. He's not going to hit 25 bombs probably. He's not going to steal. So like you are getting certain categories from him. And even Seth Lugo has been okay, but I would argue barely startable.
He's Seth
Uh,
Lugo. That's what he
yeah,
is.
exactly. So I think in terms of winning now this year, he didn't get any keepers, but Casey Schmidt, yep. Again, upgrade over Steer, Sonny Gray, and then look, and we're gonna look at Dane's team in a second. I think the one thing he could have used, oddly enough, even though he's got Skubal and Yamamoto, I oddly felt like he could use one more like solidified "I trust you" starting pitcher. And if Sonny Gray's not doesn't exactly fit that category, I don't know what does. I mean, he's literally having probably the best or second best year of his entire career. The kid just continues to go out there. I say kid because I remember him coming up as a prospect, but
Yeah.
the guy just continues to pitch and pitch and pitch. So I really, really like this move for Dana. And honestly, call it an outside shot, but like, who's to say Ranger Suarez isn't worth $28 next year? I mean, honestly, like if you look at his last 2 years, I know he doesn't hit the innings mark, but 2025, 2024, like that's those numbers got to at least be close to $28. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but if he comes back in this last month and a half and pitches really, really well, why couldn't Dane give Suarez a D contract? I'm not saying I would do it yet, but I think it's still up for grabs. So overall, I like this a lot for Dana. I think it's a win now move while also a gamble, not a gamble, but a chance at Suarez being a keeper. And here's the thing, Sonny Gray is a keeper, guys. He's an A contract. I know he's older, but like, what is Sonny Gray? $18? Like,
Yeah,
that's a really
I was
solid
waiting for you to
price.
kind of let that slide by. Yeah, I like this trade a lot for Dana, and it upsets me a little bit because like the Dana was not happy with my evaluation of his team coming off the last podcast, and where I kind of said, oh, I don't really know about it, and it's like he doesn't really have reliability in his pitching staff, and he goes and gets two veterans that are kind of more on the reliable side, and gives up a couple pieces. Nobody that I think he's going to miss that bad
No.
when it's all said and done. And the fact is, like, I think that it's possible that Sonny Gray for $18 is the best keeper in this entire
Yeah.
trade.
Better
I
than
mean,
Aranda, maybe, right?
yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I would,
Aranda, like, he's cheaper and he's solid, but like
but the
for a first
pitching,
baseman, what are you really like missing out of your first baseman here that
right?
like so irreplaceable? Like it's solid OBP, like good RBIs,
Elite OBP.
homers,
Yeah.
like
But
yeah. So it's like if he finishes the year and it's like 20 home runs, 90 RBIs, and a 370 OBP, like that's not irreplaceable.
right.
Especially for first base where you really need a bopper over there, where that's where your kind of your best bets are usually at. So for $3, obviously a keeper there. Lugo and Steer, like I don't necessarily agree that Steer is a keeper. I just don't see him doing a whole lot that's warranting that.
Look how cheap he is. And again, we got to look at the fact he starts in 75% of leagues. Like he is a starting fantasy player.
It's not really
Like
so. No, 75% means like in good leagues he's not really starting, and just
what?
he's a bench bat.
What? That doesn't
And
make any sense.
um, I don't think he's providing really a skill that's really helping you win a playoff matchup or any kind of matchup for that matter. So if he's on pace for what, 24 home runs and then like okay amount of runs, not
Yeah.
really great.
He's a contributor. That's what
No
I'm saying. You need
steals,
those guys. You need
average
those guys.
OBP. Yeah, but I can get those guys on the waiver wire and late in the draft anyway. It
Yeah.
just I
Find a
don't
guy that's starting in 75% of leagues on the waiver wire, man.
know. Can we sort by that?
You can start by roster percentage.
Um, yeah. Let's see here. Roster percentage, not start percentage.
Yeah,
Um,
you can sort by roster percentage, and you can click on a profile and it'd say how often how much they're starting. But
so all right, but yeah, so I just wasn't like the biggest fan of it, but I think like from Dana's perspective, I think he gets exactly what he needs. And
yeah,
so we'll come over his team in a little bit, but he also made a trade here where he gave up Soriano for Robbie Ray and Shota Imanaga.
yeah.
This was one that was interesting. I don't really know what to make of this because it feels like Soriano's been the best pitcher of this bunch on the year, but he's kind of cutting bait at maybe just the right time and believes that
Yeah.
the regression monster is coming or what?
Yeah. No, actually, and I know we're just looking at it from Dana's perspective, but I really liked this trade. I think this is one of my maybe not favorite trades, but one of the trades I think made both sense for both teams because I think you're right. I think Soriano's starting to become a little bit more of a Soriano we would expect, not the ace that he was in the first 2 months of the year. And Justin gets a surefire keeper. Like, why not keep that for $2, right? He's been really, really good this year,
Is he
while
two or
Dana kind
seven
of
next year? He's
what's
seven.
that?
He's going up to
7.
seven next year, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you're keeping that with the numbers he's putting up right now. I mean, if it ballooned to a 4.4 ERA by the end of the year, yeah, that's a little bit of danger zone, right? But
Yeah.
I would say right now he's for sure a keeper.
Mhm.
But again, that can change in a month. But for Dana, like you said, to get to me just more depth than pitching. Like, yes, I would argue like he's almost got the buy wrapped up to the point where he doesn't even need to worry for a month on what his head-to-head team is. But just to have those extra pitchers and those names that you can even matchups. Oh, there's a 2-start week. Oh, there's a 1-start week. Imanaga's been pitching well lately. Robbie Ray's been pitching well lately. He's not got the Ks that he used to have when he was younger, but like these guys are pitching well this year. They actually Robbie Ray actually has a lower ERA than Soriano now. So overall, I think in terms of lengthening Dane's rotation, we talked about his rotation. He's got Skubal and Yamamoto at the top, disgusting. He's got
Mhm.
Sonny Gray, who's been amazing. Like, who's gonna
He's-
complain? Who's gonna complain at an Imanaga, Martin, and Ray 3-4? That's gonna be scary to face in the playoffs. I think Dana's done a really good job.
Yeah, those are the exact kind of guys you would want to have after
Yeah.
Skubal and Yamamoto. It's just like give me the guys that go 6 or 7 innings,
Yep.
give me quality starts and don't completely fuck everything up. And so guys that aren't gonna just go out there and get lit up, and that's Sonny Gray is that. So and decent strikeouts, although Sonny Gray is slowing down on the strikeout count, less than striking inning, only 90 on the year. Davis Martin, his wheels are starting to fall off there. I mean, he is kind of who we thought he was. Robbie Ray is puzzling. The strikeouts are starting to go down. The whip is high. He's always kind of had a high whip. But I don't know if we're gonna get we're certainly not gonna get prime Robbie Ray. I don't know how much he has left
Right.
in the bank, but
And even JT Ginn,
he's
is a
got
little bit of
options at
depth.
least now.
And even Ginn on the bench is like a little bit of a depth piece there too. I like, and I think he maybe heard a little bit of what we were saying of like, hey, like your pitching at the top 1, 2 is really, really good, but like after that, I do think some of these guys are coming back down to earth a little bit. Like, yes, Davis Martin and Soriano were amazing those first 2 months, but like, is that who they really were? And I think getting these more solidified, consistent guys makes sense. And honestly, I think he's rounded out his team real well. I don't want to play it in the playoffs, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think he proved me wrong and he proved me right at the same time. Which is like he proved me wrong because now his team is looking better, but he proved me right because he addressed the exact thing that I said he needed to address in order to be taken seriously. So, I mean, hats off to you. Because yeah, now it's like the pitching rotation looks good. He's probably going to need another closer because Fairbanks just got lit up again yesterday. Now he's a 7 ERA on the year. I can't imagine they're going to keep him in the closer role. So,
I know.
now there's a couple teams that maybe have a closer to move. And so
But
you
it's also one
might.
of those things too, from a head-to-head perspective. Like, there's nothing wrong going into a head-to-head playoff matchup with one closer. Like, if you even throw saves and you're that confident in everything else, it's not the end of the world. I don't think you
With
need
those
to have.
pitchers, he might not need to go six starters.
Right. Yeah.
With the kind of strikeouts that he could get from some of those guys and stuff. So, although granted, a lot of these guys actually aren't
No,
strikeout
they're
inning
not.
guys.
They're
So
close to a strikeout inning, but only Yamamoto and Skubal really give you that extra push.
even Yamamoto's under a strikeout inning,
Is
and
it?
he's only going to pitch once a week. You know that. So,
Right.
um, unless with Otani being out, then unless that kind of changes things for them, but remains to be seen. So, and then the lineup, like just double digit
No
homers
weak
across the board.
spots.
Everybody double digit homers, even the entire bench double digit homers. He made some nice waiver wire signings all throughout the year, and even guys like Esmeralyn
Look at
Valdez
that, what
and
he's done. Oh my God.
uh,
That's an
Alberto
105 at
Hernandez.
bats. Like, who
Yeah,
is that guy? 22 years old? Like, who the
yeah.
hell is that?
Uh-huh. And this Hernandez guy has been tearing the cover off the ball too. He's got 7 home runs,
Yeah.
11 runs, and 10 RBIs in the last 30 days and stuff. That includes the All-Star break. So, he's got some kind of options here. We've been working on a deal here, with him as well, but we'll kind of see. So he's got a little bit of the cards in his hand, a little bit. Doesn't have I guess, if team wants Ryan O'Hearn, he could trade Ryan O'Hearn. He doesn't really need Ryan O'Hearn. But there's a trade here that I actually that I see for Dana,
Okay.
that really make his team scary, and it's the one we mentioned here. All right, um so let's see. Do you want to be Dana or do you want to be the buyer or the seller?
Ooh. You tell me. I'll be whoever.
All right. You are Dana.
Okay.
I am Chris,
Okay.
and with that, I am saying, hey, Dana, I see that, your pitching's looking good, but I have something that could put it over the top. And I have my eyes on one of your assets, Zach Neto. And for your $9 Zach Neto is going to be a $14 C Zach Neto next year. Is probably one of the best keepers potentially next year. I will give
Yeah.
you Francisco Lindor and Freddie Peralta.
Ooh. Now that's interesting. I really thought you were just gonna say Freddie Peralta. I was like, you're crazy.
No.
Um,
Who's better rest of the season, Neto or Lindor?
I think it's been tough because Lindor has been so bad, but I mean, you trust Lindor because his numbers. I mean, he didn't really get a chance to do anything.
Mhm.
He's still kind of getting going. I'm probably taking Lindor rest of season. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So
Does Dana have the
how big
money to
now?
take all that in though? That's my question.
So he's used
That'd be like a $70 bump.
284. I don't think it'd be that much. Because let's see. So he'd take five and mm,
We'd lose
you
9
might
from
say
Neto.
yeah. So let's see. He'd lose nine and we'll say five. So we'll say like 14 and he would acquire
70.
70. Yeah, so it'd be like 55, which puts him at right at the cusp, like
Yeah.
almost perfectly where he would need to be. Um, well, I guess no, it'd be $10 too much.
Okay.
Um,
And if he
but
puts William Contreras back in his lineup, if he ever, yeah, I don't know. I think from a pure like making my team better standpoint, yes, I do that if I'm Dana, but having to play the salary cap like that might be a little scary.
I mean, there's another deal there that could happen too. It's actually not the one I actually thought he could do. The one actually I I take that back. The one I thought it would make even more sense is instead of Peralta, doing Lindor and Johan Duran.
Yeah, to kind of make the league closing that might make more sense to me just because Peralta, for me, at least from Dana's perspective, it's almost like Dana shouldn't start him until he starts pitching well, right? Like, why do that? I mean,
Mhm.
everyone in his pitching staff is doing so good, so it's
Mhm.
almost like, why start Peralta if I'm Dana right now? I need to see Peralta pitch well, so I think Duran makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, but Duran will be kept at 19 for how
Oh
he's
yeah,
pitched this
that's
year.
why
And so
I
I'm
think Dana
like,
would easily do that. Yeah, because
yeah.
getting an elite closer like that for 19, that's about market value, and I mean,
Mhm.
I'd almost argue above market value, like if you're getting that elite of a closer. So.
Mhm. So, I mean, and I don't think he would just do Neto for Duran straight up. So,
I don't think so either. No.
but I think there could be something there
Yeah. Yeah.
with
I
what we
like the
see
way you're
there.
thinking.
Alrighty. So, do you think that he has to make any more moves though?
I really don't. I think he's one of those teams that could go into the playoffs. And again, I'm not saying the bye's wrapped up, but it's getting to that point. After this week, we have 2 weeks left, and if he has a 7-8 game lead, that's going to be really tough to. So I'm not guaranteeing boom, it's done, but I really think Dana's team, I could argue, is the most well-rounded in the league. I think the one thing he's maybe missing is I think in a playoff week he could get really killed on steals because he doesn't really have that guy
Mhm.
that goes out there and gets steals. So, but other than that, like I really just don't see like a huge hole here. I think everyone in his lineup is startable. You mentioned the power from everyone in the lineup, the RBIs. Yeah, I think he's in a perfect spot now to just kind of ride this thing out and see where it takes him. Now, I don't think that doesn't mean he won't make a trade and try to make his team even better, but in terms of like keepers and stuff, like if I'm him, honestly, William Contreras. I know you're not a big catcher guy. I know you look at it like that, but when we saw how many catchers went for what they went this year, it does make me at least wonder if someone would give something for William Contreras.
Mhm. I've offered for William Contreras. I got fucking Salvador Perez dragging me down. And Will Smith. I didn't see the thing about Will Smith when I made that trade that he was going to be out longer. I thought he was going to be back like this week. You're muted. Um, so you're muted, Eric. Oh, you might not talk to me. Yes, we'll kind of see. I actually gonna disagree a little bit here. I don't think that this is a team that's all that scary. Again,
Oh my God.
even though like the pitching staff looks good, and even though the lineup looks stacked, if this team is as dangerous and as good as it is, how come this has basically never been a top team? Like this has never once been the best team in the league. If you look at like this lineup is completely like loaded and home runs coming from everywhere and RBIs and runs and this and that, and the pitching staff is so good and Davis Martin has been so great and everything like that. And like I said, it's been completely healthy all year. For the most part, sure, Skubal, but you've had him back
Yeah.
for a month now. But looking at the standings of kind of where we're at, I went back month by month, but at none of those months, if you
I
go
feel
back
like
one
he's
month, if you
consistently
go back
been.
2 months,
What if I said this? I feel like when we look at Roto, he's consistently been like the third best Roto team
yeah,
almost like
and that's how I think he'll finish the
yeah.
league. I think he'll finish this year in third place
Yeah.
or
And I
second
and I
place.
don't think that's necessarily unfair to say.
Um, and so it's just like I don't think it's like the top team, but it's just like at no point is this been like the best team or the scariest team. So I just think that's what it is. So if he has one or two more tricks up his sleeve,
I
if
guess
he
my
can,
thing, let me ask you this. I think the playoffs change obviously because in the head-to-head format it's a 2-week playoffs, right?
Mhm.
Does
Yeah.
that not make you feel like his team becomes a little deadlier knowing you're getting 4 to 5 starts each from Yamamoto and Skubal? Like I think that makes if I'm playing Dana in a 1 week head to head and Skubal gets one
I
start,
I think it
whatever.
I think it makes his team less
Well, I just don't get how that makes sense.
because A, his team is not versatile because his team can't steal stolen bases from somebody. Somebody can
Sure,
load up on steal,
I
somebody
get
can load up an
that.
OBP. If he doesn't win ERA and WHIP, he only has like one path. Like he's got to be wins, quality starts, and everything else. He's even in those 2 weeks, you're gonna get two Yamamoto starts, where some teams are gonna get three, hopefully three
You're
DeGrom
getting two
starts
minimum. You're getting
uh,
two
or
minimum.
or three Chris Sale starts or three, whatever else starts. Not saying that the team that has DeGrom or Chris Sale is going to make the playoffs. Might not. But I think that other teams could load up on two-start pitchers both weeks and win strikeouts and quality. You could take strikeouts from this team. You could take wins, quality starts from this team. You might not take ERA and WHIP, but that could be a crapshoot. You get one of those guys get lit up, and that's it. And so. I think it's like pretty one-dimensional, and I don't think the offense is like overly scary to the point where you can't outslug this team, you can't outrun or RBI this team. So, like, sure, it's a good team. It's one of our best teams. It's in the top four, but it's not a team that I fear. And sure, I can regret if he knocks me out of the playoffs, then great. Then that can very well happen. It's just not a team that I feel like is
Yeah.
certainly like the
And
scariest.
I don't think you're wrong in saying he's never really had a stretch where he's been the best team in the league. I mean, maybe the first month and a half when Soriano and all those guys, Davis Martin and stuff like that. But yes, I agree that he's probably consistently been like the third or fourth best in the league in the team. And when other people have gone down and down, that makes him, right around that mark. But I don't know, man. I think outside of Chad's team, it's probably the team I want to see the least in the playoffs. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. So, well, would you rather see me or him in the playoffs?
I think that's about as tight as it gets, and that's why I think you guys are like right there at third. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like a tied for. I really think your two teams are so comparable, and that's why like if I'm him, like if you come to the table with a trade, I'm probably not helping you out. Like I don't want to see you get in, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and yeah, I don't know. It's interesting
hmm Um,
because
yeah,
I think you
so
also have that elite 1-2 pitching, and you have some big boppers in the lineup. You might have more superstars in the lineup, while he has a little bit more balance, but
yeah, but my superstars got to get on the field, so
yeah, that is true.
um, there's that side of it too. So I think the trades have really helped this team. I think I like this team better than I did before, but
Sure.
it's I still think there's a few pieces left to.
Let me ask you this then. If you're not scared of his team, how imperative is it that he gets the bye then? I know you think he's probably a top 14, but like obviously it's a stupid question to ask, is getting the bye important? But like how important is it for Dana to get the bye?
Mm, I would say not that important because I think his
Okay.
team is better than the 5 and 6 teams. I think
Okay.
his team is
So
better
you
than
think he gets
Bryce's
to
team.
probably the second round no matter what?
Yeah, depends on the matchup, but I mean, think if he faced off against Bryce or Matt, then I like his odds. If I'm not healthy, if he gets
Yeah.
me in the first round, he's
That'll be
I
that'd be a that'd be a tough one.
might not be healthy by then, so I don't know if Freed will be all the way ramped up by then. So like it could be, one of those things where it could hurt. I don't think Will Smith is back by then.
Yeah.
So Schwallenbach's not back by then if he's back at all. So but if it's later in the playoffs, then yeah, maybe look out. So uh without further ado, I guess we'll go come over to my team here.
Yeah.
And I've made two trades since the last. We have giving up Grant Holmes and Brent Rooker for Framber Valdez and Emerson Hancock. Now we've hashed this out a little bit over the chat here, and you can now call it the blasphemy that you want to call it here.
Are you talking about like from your perspective?
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, or from Phil's perspective, or either. Or we can save that for later.
I'll take it from your perspective first. I mean, I like the value you're getting back. And we'll talk about your roster in a second. I just don't like. Why aren't you starting Hancock over Valdez? That's what I gotta
In my
ask
lineup right
first.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that Hancock's just showing a little bit of worse for wear. I don't know if
or
he's
even
going to
Like,
be.
why aren't you? Even if Valdez isn't okay, you
I
got your
like that
nice
he's
big.
at home this week against a Cincy team that's not great, but he's coming off injury. He hasn't pitched in a while.
What about
And I
over
think his
Trevor Rogers?
he
Why
has a lot
don't you
of,
have
have you seen what
Hancock?
Trevor Rogers has done over the last couple of weeks and months? I just these 5 and 6 ERA starts right
Ugh.
here just kind of scaring me off a little
What
bit.
about
Like
Jack Flaherty?
he's getting two starts, and one of them's the Cubs, and one of them's Kansas City. So it's
Oh
like
yeah.
I'm like looking at this, being like, I am torn between Valdez and Hancock, as well as I wanted to start Griffin Jacks as well because he's been pitching well. But looking at what Rogers done for the last month, I mean, he's got a
Yeah, he has
freaking
been great. Yeah, I agree.
.88
I
ERA.
wouldn't take him out either. You're right. But I guess
Um,
I guess me saying all this is just me saying like
yeah.
I feel like you didn't really have to give up much regardless. So I do like this move from you getting Valdez and Hancock. You're getting two depth pieces. So in terms of just straight up trade, but we can talk about why you're not starting who in your lineup. But um in terms of what you got back, I loved it for you because again, you have options. It gives you options. You need to win now. Valdez hopefully helps you win now. Hancock hopefully helps you win now.
Mhm.
While Grant Holmes is I would argue barely startable. He's got an extremely high ERA. In 18 games started, he only has five quality starts. He's not a strikeout pitcher. And then obviously Brent Rooker is not.
You say his extremely high 3.7 ERA? Is that what you
No,
just
I'm
said?
sorry, whip. Sorry,
Okay.
whip. Yeah, sorry. My bad. His extremely high whip. A 1.343 whip's really, really
Yeah.
high for a starting pitcher. But
Mhm.
and again, so you essentially gave away nothing that's helping you now and got two pieces that could help you in Valdez. Like again, Valdez, do we trust the 4.1 ERA he's had in his this year? Do we trust that he's going to kind of help do better the rest of the year? And with the Tigers being as good as they've been lately, maybe he catches a streak and boom. So in terms of you winning this year and whatever, I love this move for you because again, I think you gave away nothing. You are not keeping Rooker at $30 next year, and honestly, Grant Holmes at $2, you maybe might. And actually, he would have been 7. So again, Grant Holmes at $7 is not a keeper. So at this point, yeah, I mean, I think you kind of gave away nothing and got a decent amount of value back here.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those offers I just kind of sent it over,
Yeah.
and just hopes that nobody was, barking up the tree on some of those guys, and so it sounded like nobody was, and so I was just kind of capitalized on that. So I'm not going to say that Phil won the trade or anything like that, because there's going to be a lot that needs to improve from Grant Holmes's perspective if he's going to be a keeper for 7. Rooker for 30 is close. I said that in the chat. Me personally, it's not the kind of guy I like to keep. A $30 guy coming off a bad season, but like I said, if he puts up the numbers he put up the last 3 or 4 years, then he's worth $30. But that's going to be
Oh,
Phil's
I don't know.
decision. Um,
If you
I'm
just
saying
go
it.
for fun, if you just go to players, and if you go to all play, not all available players, just all players, and you go to salary, and you go to outfielders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 outfielders that are paid over $30 or up, right?
Mhm.
He's
Okay.
not he's not worth any of those guys.
Yes, he is. He's better than Seiya Suzuki. He's better than Jackson Merrill.
No, I don't think he is.
He's been better than Seiya Suzuki in 3 to 4 years.
Oh, I think yes, and if you took the 4 years combined, yes. But I think last year say it and this year say it, I would take that
Yeah,
over
this year, say
Rooker.
yeah. So that's
Like
yeah, going into it.
and to me, is say a Suzuki a keeper at 27 to you? I'm gonna say right now no with the numbers he's put up. So like, why does that make Rooker worth it at 30?
Because Seiya Suzuki, let's see here.
You know what I mean? Like, look at some of the guys even below them, like Riley Green at 25, Jackson Merrill at 27. Out of all the guys that are being paid 30 or more, the only one that I would argue maybe isn't a keeper just because of his exorbitant price is Julio Rodriguez and Fernando Tatis. But like, we're basically saying with his price, we're basically saying Rooker is a top 10 outfielder in fantasy baseball. And I just don't think he is that. I think he can hit you 30 and 100, but you've said that many times over the years that there's a handful of guys that can hit you
That's a
30.
little bit deceptive because a lot of these outfielders are price. They're just because like the top 10 outfielders aren't the top priced outfielders.
Yes. Yes.
Because so many of these guys like Jordan Walker and Pete Crow Armstrong and all
Would
that.
be
So it's like,
worth that.
yeah,
Yes.
so it's not like saying he has to be a top 10 outfielder. He has to be like a top 25
He's
outfielder
got to be
is
the
really
worth
what
the
it is.
price of a top 10 outfielder. That's fair to say. If you're going to keep him for $30, yeah.
Yes and no. Seiya Suzuki is a good comp. I'll give you that. Who are for 27 this year, who probably won't go 27 next year just because the power numbers aren't what
Right.
we would probably want them to be for what you expect for $30. But I think that when it comes to Brent Rooker, when he's had 30 home runs in 3 straight years coming into this, and the thing about it is like he was hurt, he was battling the injury as like he was poor performing. Like the knee injury wasn't random. Like the knee injury bothered him before all of this happened, before he actually went on the injured list. And he got a month and a half sample size. He had a 2 month sample size, most of which was injured. I don't think that he forgot how to hit in that month and a half this season um, where that's going to be indicative of this. I expect that next year at what's he going to be? 20. He's going to be 32 next year, so he's not going to be too far removed from his prime. I think that he's going to get back to what he has been the previous 3 years, not what he was this past year.
And that's
And
why I think Rooker's been an amazing contract because of his price. And that's where I just go, coming off such a bad year.
but
How
even
can
such a bad year was still a 30 home run, 90 RBI
but
pace.
no, but you can't say that when that this year was that it was this year
That's I'm saying. Look at his pace. 48 games. Multiply it by 3. That's 30 home runs and 90 RBIs in what you were
with
calling
an
a down
awful
year.
OBP. That's
A,
not
a
worth
down year with a
$30.
bad knee. And
Oh my
again, it's a small sample size. I don't
And
think that
those
this
only
is who
get
he is
better,
now.
right? Those knees only get better.
I don't think that this is the player that he is now. All of a sudden, that these last 3 years, they're like, nope, that's not
Well,
Brent
and
Rooker. 2026, that's the real Brent. Will the
now
real
let
Brent
me ask you
Rooker
this.
please stand up?
Now let me ask you this, Kyle. Honestly, his 2025 year, he played in every single game, right? The 92 runs, I'll say is plus. The 30 home runs, I'll say is plus, right? 30 home, 89 RBIs for playing 162 games. I think even you can say for being a slugger, 89 RBIs is a little bit low.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that's not good, But the OBP at 335, that literally is our fantasy league average. So he's not even a plus on OBP.
Yeah.
I just don't see we're coming off this 2026 injury-riddled season with a lot of the dudes being thrown back into the draft, how you can just go, yep, I'm throwing a D on that. It's not even like you can keep him for 3 more years. I'm keeping him for 1 more year. Bam, $20 extra here. I just don't think the juice is worth the squeeze in that sense. I don't think so at all.
You and I differ on this because, and it's weird because we're in backwards roles here because you would be the one to say, well, why not worry about just lock it in? If I think he's a $30 player, I'll lock him in for $30 and not worry
I think
about
it
it.
varies different
Where
draft by draft. There's so many guys going back in next year.
very draft
No,
right
it
where I'm the
does.
one that usually says, like, well, if he's a $30 player for 30, just throw him back and get him on a
If
$30
this is the
pay. Yeah.
Cedric Mullins draft, yes, keep him, but it's not.
Mhm.
I think it does matter draft by draft. When you see what kind of guys are in there next year, I think Phil's going to go, damn. Because honestly, like if he goes into the draft next year, I'm not saying he doesn't go close to 30, but do you really see a team actually paying 30 or plus for Rooker? I don't. I think he's 25, 20 to 25. I really think that's what you get him
Depends
at.
on depends on where he goes in the draft because
And
we
that's
thought,
where I'm telling, and that's why it sounded like I was harping on the trade in the chat. I don't think it's like some massive, massive, like awful keeper choice. I just don't see anyone paying 30 for him in the draft. 20 to 25. Okay, he's Brent Rooker. Let's go. So to me, it's almost like
going
why?
going into the draft, how much do you think Jordan Alvarez is going to go for?
40.
I would say 35 to 40.
Yeah, 35, 40. Yeah.
Would have been probably what I would have said.
And we both know he's a far superior player
And
than
Jordan Alvarez is like one of the only guys in the draft that actually worked out. There's so many busts in the draft
yeah,
this year. Every guy that got drafted this year seemed like it busted. He busted
yeah.
from
A
Corbin
lot of
Carroll to Ellie De La Cruz to a massive Cal Raleigh, a massive number of guys that
yeah.
all got drafted this year that you really
Corbin
could.
Carroll, even a little bit. Not that he's bad, but he's not been.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And that's
Um,
my thing. It's not like I'm not saying Phil would have gotten like a ton better for what he traded away, but I do feel like there was at least other avenues. And again, I'm not saying it's awful, 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 but honestly, you know what it reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of him keeping Alex Bregman. I mean, genuinely. And I'm not saying
yeah.
Rooker hasn't had a better track record as of late, but I remember him trading for Alex Bregman, me going, nobody's paying 34 for Alex Bregman. Why are you trading for him? Why do you
Mhm.
think this is some value? And I kind of get the same sense here. Why are you trading for Rooker? No one's paying for him for 30 in the draft. And that's just kind of the same mindset I have.
Mhm. Yeah, I could kind of see a little bit of the comp there, but I think Rooker showed more upside the three last
Yeah.
4 years than Bregman has basically
Sure. Yeah.
showed since his MVP year, 8 years ago, whenever that was.
Yeah.
So I mean, but back to the trade. Yeah, I mean, it's a trade that I mean, I just threw out there, thought it made sense. And if he'd plan on I'd asked him if he'd plan on keeping some of those guys. Yeah, maybe. And so it sounded like he wasn't getting any offers for Valdez or Hancock. So he wanted some guys, he targeted some guys, and he got a bunch of rejections. So he's like, all right, well, I can't get anything else for him. I might as well get these pieces back, and we'll kind of play it right here. And then so this was probably a more of an interesting one then with the Andy
Yeah.
Davis and Jacob Wilson for Flaherty, Smith, and Trey Turner. What'd you make of
Yeah.
this one?
I'll be honest, I didn't love it from your end.
Mm,
Um, my main reason for that is if you were secured in a playoff spot, I like it more.
yeah.
I think saying, "Hey, I like the upside of Trey Turner and what he can provide." Well, Will Smith is back right when the playoffs start, right? I like Will
Mhm.
Smith in that lineup. Okay, that's good. Jack Flaherty's really not been good this year. I don't really see him very startable for you at all. I know you said he's got 2 starts this week. That I've done this mistake
Yeah.
many, many times. That doesn't mean you start him.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Just because they got 2 starts
He's
does not
starting to
mean you
turn it
start them.
around. I'm hoping that this is the new him. He's got a 1 ERA and
And
a
you're
point
hoping it
seven WHIP
against the
over the last
Cubs.
three
How dare
starts.
you? How dare
Yeah.
you? But I guess that's my point is I Flaherty's just kind of whatever. If he ends up helping you, that's great. But here's why I look at it. Will Smith can't help you now. I don't really think Flaherty can help you much now. And Trey Turner is doing okay this year. I mean, he's really having arguably the worst year of his career. Yes,
Steals are
he's an
there,
upgrade.
but everything else is not.
Yeah, yes, he's an upgrade over Jacob Wilson, but in terms of like home runs, RBIs, OBP, like runs scored and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I feel like him and Yandy, he's got a little bit more runs scored than Yandy, so that helps a little bit there. But like, I think
Yandy knows how to score runs.
yeah, Yandy and Turner are like closest in terms of like what they give you, but I really like. I know Jacob Wilson is not going to be starting in a ton of like he starts in 60% on Fantrax. But like his numbers, he's not going to steal a ton of bags. He's not going to hit 20 home runs. He's not going to get 80. But like he's just a guy again. If he's the 10th or 11th starter in your lineup, like, he does just kind of like provide a little bit there. And I just don't know if you giving up. 'Cause I know Jacob Wilson is not going to be starting in a ton of like Fantrax. But like his numbers, he's not going to steal a ton of bags. He's not going to get 80. But like he's just a guy again. If he's the 10th or 11th starter in your lineup, like he does just kind of like provide a little bit there. And I just don't know if you giving up
I've been trying to trade Jacob Wilson for
I
4 months
know.
now, and nobody ever wanted him ever.
Oh,
And
I
so
totally
I'm
get it.
like,
But I guess in terms of like what you need, like you are in danger zone of possibly not making the playoffs. And I
mhm.
don't know if this trade necessarily helps you get there. Um, and that's where if you make the playoffs, oh crap, now he's got Will Smith and now he's got I like that. But I guess for the position you're in, I was a little surprised you did it because I feel like you needed more of like a I need to win now kind of mindset in a sense, if that makes
Either
sense.
way, I think I'm kind of there in Roto that I would kind of like those guys for the late haul in Roto anyway to try and still finish in the money in
Yeah.
Roto. Hopefully those guys help me do it. But I could kind of see what you're saying there. Yandy's kind of slowed down, but he just kind of puts up stable numbers. He kind of is what he is. But the power is kind of starting to not be there. And
Right.
which that's
He's never
that
been a
his
big power
career.
guy.
And then so he came out, he had like 10 home runs in the first month. And then, since then it's kind of been much more so. He's got one home run in the last 30 days. So good
Right.
OBP guy, drives in RBIs, but he's hitting leadoff. And so like the RBIs are a little bit more limited, but the Rays offense has been so good that he's still been able
Yeah.
to drive some in and score some runs. But I just wanted somebody who could make a bigger impact. And if you look at my team now, with kind of where I'm at here, I needed steals. I get steals from a couple different places, but I don't know if Sam
Yeah, he literally leads your
Antonelli.
team now. Yeah.
He's Sam Antonelli's been playing well, but with Corbin Carroll not stealing the bases that I thought he would, Acuna hurt. I mean, frickin' Buxton hurt, Langford hurt, Perdomo not playing particularly well. It's like I needed somebody who I could rely on for stolen bases, and
Sure.
so that was
That
kind
makes
of
sense.
what I was looking at there. It's not the ideal fit of what I exactly wanted, but I just wanted to make some kind of splash there, and so
Yeah, no,
just
I don't hate it. It's just
so.
if you make the playoffs, I think it really works out well for you.
Yeah, so certainly
And
need
again,
to
it's
make
not
that
like you
playoff.
gave up like some crazy keepers, right? I mean, Yandy Diaz, solid. And again, I know we're not talking about his side of it right now, but like for Jordan, I think it made perfect sense. Why
Mhm.
not keep, Jacob Wilson for 5 and Yandy Diaz for 6? So I like it from both perspectives, I
Mhm.
guess. But yeah,
Yeah, it hurt me because there's some guys that wanted Yandy, and I kind of turned him down at some points throughout the year, and
I'm
but
surprised you went after a catcher. Like, holy
yeah,
crap,
well, I mean, when you look at what Salvador Perez has done this year, how could I not?
Oh man,
So
you could pay a
yeah.
dollar for the 12th best catcher.
Well, that's the thing about fucking keeping a catcher for 9 is that it fucked me because then you feel like you're tied to him instead of just dropping him. I should have dropped him 3 months ago, and gotten somebody else that's making more of an impact. But when you spend up for a catcher, you feel loyal to him. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of another tally mark in the
If you think nine
column
is
against it.
spending up on a catcher, but I don't know. I don't know. I think it's
Pretty
proven
much
that
for a catcher, it is.
if you sort by like how well and remember how much catchers we're going for in the draft. Drake Baldwin, Hunter
This
Goodman.
year was a little bit of an aberration where it's like
Yeah,
even like the 14th and 15th catcher went for $4, $5, and $6. I think it was a
they
weird
did.
year.
Yeah, and when you really look at like how well they're doing, I think I mean how many catchers are getting paid over $10 in the league? There's probably a
Mhm.
decent amount.
Yeah.
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Yeah, about 7 guys. So yeah, is Salvador Perez the eighth? He's technically the eighth highest paid catcher, and he's not worth it, right? I see what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my team here and it's like I don't think the offense is scary just because I don't think I have the RBIs. I would want to turn like the only move I really have left is like an Isaac Paredes move or something like that to trade away one of those guys. I don't think I'm going to move Schwellenbach. I mean, if I really want to make a big splash, I could, but I don't think there's a piece out there that I would move Schwellenbach left. I mean, it would have taken like a really big haul of something, and it's just not something that I want to do anymore.
Right.
Like if it was like a Shohei Ohtani pitcher and a significant offensive piece, then maybe. But I'm not gonna move him for whatever's left on the trade market. I don't think there's a trade that Chris could offer me for Schwellenbach even that I would entertain, especially if Schwellenbach comes back for September, which can't really bank on it, but he could also help me this year too. So just trying to get Fried back. Hopefully the rotation looks a little bit more formidable then. Luckily my veterans been holding it down long enough. Hopefully they took a nice breather over All-Star break and can back on the horse to Grom and Sale. Just gonna ride them
Yeah.
out for as long as they're
And
that
that's kind of,
good.
and I'm right there with you. I don't really think as weird and as much as you like to make trades, I don't really think there's much avenue for you to do that. I think again, you're kind of riding it out. And again, if you're kind of getting those reinforcements in Acuna and Fried if you make the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's or Will Smith, whatever you want to throw in there. So I
Yeah.
think it's just one of those you got to kind of ride with it. Do I think you're the best team in the league? No, but I don't necessarily want to play in the playoffs if you're going to have to face Sale and DeGrom as often as you do. So
Yeah.
again, I don't think it's as good as Dana's. I don't think it's as good as probably Chad's.
You're
But
back.
it's
You're back playing. You said we were tied before, so now I'm not as good as Dana.
I'm probably taking Dana's over yours right now, even with the reinforcements. I'm probably if I had to say in a 2 week matchup without knowing anything else, I would probably say Dana edges your team out.
Yeah.
But I do think it is right there. I think you guys are probably the
You heard it here
closest.
first. Dana is edging Kyle.
Yeah, there you go. And this is with me, and again, without even thinking, I don't really know where my team lands. I've actually been curious on that. Like, do teams kind of want to play my team in the playoffs, or do they look at it as kind of? I really don't know. So
Yeah. All righty. So we'll move on to Chad now. I think that's where we're at, right? Chad made one move. He traded Dalen Lyle for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Do you
yeah.
think that this was a good trade for both?
We kind of talked about this in the chat a little bit when Spelly was like, "How does Vlad get traded for Lyle? Like that makes no sense." But I mean, honestly, when you really think about it, Lyle is at least at the time of the trade beating Vlad in like 3 out of the 5 categories. So I actually do like this for Chad because am I taking Vlad from July 20th to September 31st over Dalen Lyle? Yes, I am. I mean, I just am. But let's not forget Lyle was, third in Rookie of the Year last year, putting like an admirable season up this year. But yes, in terms of Chad saying I want to win the title, I like it a lot for Chad. To me, it's almost like a why not kind of move. I know, like you're not really crying over losing Lyle as a keeper, and you get the upside of Vlad Guerrero possibly tearing it up the last month and a half. And yes,
Yeah,
Vlad
kind of like
Guerrero
he
has
did,
not been great.
like
I'm
he did
not
with
saying he
Vlad
has.
last year. The
What's
thing
that?
about Vlad is he's been remarkably healthy. He's never hurt. And the power numbers, I mean, he's got he had the 48 home runs 6 years ago now, or 5 years ago in 2021, then 32, 26, 30, 23. He's only had 100 RBIs once in the last 5 years. I wonder if we just were overranking what we think Vladimir Guerrero is. I wonder if he's just more
Yeah.
of like a 24, 25. I wonder if he's, I hate to say it, but I wonder if he's closer to Yandy Diaz than he is to the top to some of
And
those
I've
guys.
said that for the last few years. Like he's
Uh-huh.
had one great power year, and then
Yeah.
other than that, he's been a really high OBP. He gets RBIs, he scores but you can't count on him being a 30 home run bat. You never really could. So it's kind of
Mhm.
interesting. But in terms of just like for Chad this year, like, am I taking Vlad rest of season over Dalen Lyle? Probably.
I think I still am as well because you're going to get the on base percentage is solid. You're going to hope to get the RBIs and the runs, even though you don't really see them there right now. I still think that rest of the year he'll probably be higher than what we expect out of Dalen Lyle. Uh, I'm I don't really know what to make of Lyle, to be honest, because he's $4, but again, it's another one of those where he's not really providing a skill that you can translate into like, I'm really excited about this. It's like he's on pace for like what, 18 home runs and maybe like 14 steals is like his pace
Right.
on the year. So, for $4, I guess you'll
Yeah.
keep that, but it's bad OBP. It's, not good runs. It's not good RB, not great RBIs. But if it's 80
But he
runs and
is
80
starting in
RBIs, then
72% of leagues. He's a fantasy startable player. Yeah.
yeah. Fringe, yeah, like a fringe starter is kind of where I'd put him. I like him a little bit better than Spencer Steer, but that's kind of where like he's kind of down there a little bit where it's just like I don't
Right.
feel great about
Similar.
this. But it's just weird because it's like it's hard to trade a name like Vladimir Guerrero and get a guy that's just like I don't feel great about this. Like I'm not excited necessarily about Dalen Lyle, but it's he could work out. He's a rookie. He could get better. He could break out. So, it's almost like who was the guy from a couple years ago that the infielder you had that had you waited to trade him, you wouldn't trade. He broke out after you traded him.
Oh yeah, I totally forget. I know. Yeah, I've been burned a
Well, what?
couple times at weirdly not. I've been burned a couple times at the deadline of trading like a keeper for like a C rental that is gone at the end of the year, and that's why I've
Yeah.
just been burnt, and it sucks. Yeah,
And so yeah, where it's just like, oh, if Dalen Lyle hits 3 home runs and hits 2 steals the next week, then you're like, well, and Vlad keeps doing what he's doing, then you're like, well, he's probably not trading him for that because I think he might
you're
be
right.
better. So it wouldn't probably take much. So I guess it's a fine deal. If Krim is a big Dalen Lyle fan, then sure, then it kind of works out. But
Right.
from Chad's perspective, he's got a lot of names here. It's scary looking, so the offense and some of the pitching, but. You've kind of implied it a few times. Are you still saying far and away this is the number one team in the league, despite the struggles that it's had?
I'm leaning towards yeah, and my only reason I'm a little against that is I do feel like some of the guys that did get off to such huge starts were young and they're now kind of hitting a little bit of a snag. Like Alec Burleson was doing amazing, it's a little snag. Jake Caglianone's kind of hit a snag. Sal Stewart's not doing what he still. I mean, the Lions are still great, and all these players, even Drake Baldwin, the start he got off to, is he still going to have one of the best hitting seasons for a catcher this year? Absolutely, but it's just like oh, like there are, I guess, I don't even think the word holes is right because like I'm not taking any of those guys out of my lineup really. Maybe Pasquinito, but he's starting to trust him a little bit. Obviously, Nick Kurtz will hopefully come back for him. Maybe not hopefully, but Nick Kurtz and O'Neal Cruz are there for him. So like really, there's no one I'm taking out of my lineup. And in terms of pitching, I think Chase Burns and Christopher Sanchez is about as good as a 1-2 as you can get at least this year. I do think obviously Yamamoto and Skubal. So I guess the one thing I worry about a little bit is the pitching. I think in a 2 week stretch the hole is not Chad's hitting because again, he's got Kurtz and he's got Cruz in his lineup waiting to slide in there. I do think it is. Could he have a bad pitching stretch? And I think over the course of the last month and a half, month or whatever we've seen, he can, and he does not have the guys on his bench to replace that. None of those guys are you're going, oh man, I can't wait to throw him in my rotation. So I
Mhm.
think if there is like some type of like, oh crap, there's a huge like sink in the ship, I think it's the pitching.
Yeah. Um, I think that if we want to do mock trade here, I'll tell you a little bit about Chad's team in a sec, but you're Tyler.
Yeah.
Uh, Dollar Jacob Lopez for Will Warren.
Yeah. I was even
Why
thinking
not?
a
Why
little
not, right?
crazier. I was even thinking a little crazier. Chad doesn't need the hitting. I mean, what? Why not trade O'Neal Cruz for another pitcher?
Yeah, I
I
mean, you
don't
could do
know.
that if it's a team that needs a bat. Um, I I don't want to jinx this into existence, but I just feel like that this team may not be as scary as we're making it, and it's not that it's not scary on paper because I think you and I both believe in this team. I both think you and I both think that this is probably still the best team. But
Yeah,
if we go back to the standings here, as I was
it's
pointing out
crazy.
earlier, if we go by the Roto rankings by date, right? So if we put the date at the end of the year, and if we start from July 1st, so the last 2.5, 3 weeks here,
Third worst team.
Chad is the 12th best team, the third worst team in the league
And
over the
notice
last
where most
3
of it
weeks.
roto wise, again, this is only 2 weeks, but notice where most of it roto wise is coming from. He's last in ERA. He
Hmm.
is last in whip. He is second to last. So it is a little bit of the pitching. His hitting, home runs, RBIs, okay, a little lower
Yeah,
on, but like
Steals OBP is low.
go back to June. I'm curious. Does that trend kind of
So,
stay?
then if we go back, keep in mind this is behind a couple other teams. So if we go back, let's say we'll go like June 14th. Now he's still in 12th.
Yeah.
So in basically the last calendar month, like a month and a week, he has played worse than Tyler. He's played worse than Pablo's Powerhouse Jordan. He's played worse than Krim. Played worse than Justin, notably tanking teams other than Justin. So teams that are trying to lose, he has played worse than over the last month. And then if you go even back to June 1st, he is still only the ninth best team.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say like,
Just
hey,
for fun. Just
it's
for fun. Go back to May 1st, because that's literally like since the first month of the year. I'm just curious. I'm sure he jumps up quite a bit, but
a little bit. A
yeah.
little bit up to third. So,
Now go to May
you get quality
15th.
May.
Oh, actually go to May 20th. That's exactly what, 2 months.
Yeah.
Go to May
So
20th.
the last 2 months, sixth best team.
So in the last 2 months, he's been like literally a league average team. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, pretty much. So,
And all those teams above him,
2 months is
like,
not a small sample size for an entire team.
no, it's not. And all these teams above him, likely, outside of maybe Bryce, make the playoffs. So if they were to face each other theoretically in the last 2 months in these playoff matchups, he would be losing a lot of these. Yeah.
And do you remember who I said Chad plays next week in head to head?
I forgot. Who'd you say?
He plays Bryce.
Yeah, that's big.
And Bryce really needs the win. And so we'll kind of see if Bryce can do some damage. That could be fun. If Bryce wins like 3-7, oh
That
man.
would be huge, yeah. And like I said, Bryce's matchup with this week against Dexter is so wide open. And like you said,
Mhm.
Dexter's kind of close in that race. If he beats Dexter, has a matchup against Chad, we talk about how muddied that's going to get. I mean, that's going to be
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, he's had a few injuries. So once these guys get back, Hurts, I don't know if he's going to be back in the next couple of weeks.
I
O'Neal
think so.
Cruz, he's on the 60 IL, so he's still out for another couple of weeks as well. So they're not knocking on the door necessarily. So he's got Kerry Carpenter in the lineup, Vinny P in the lineup, who aren't really producing. He's like I said, all the breakouts are here with Burleson and McGonigal and Sal Stewart that maybe they're kind of slowing down a little bit, hitting their rookie wall. But I am also a little bit concerned about the pitching staff with innings pitched for some of these guys. Now, luckily, you're not seeing Chase Burns up there at like 130 innings already, where you're worried about him being slowed down. But if Cincinnati falls out of it, is Chase Burns still pitching in
Yep.
September?
Good point.
How many innings did he throw
He's
last year?
back a little bit.
He only threw 43 innings last year. That is
In the
not
majors.
in the majors. I know, yeah, what do you throw in the minors? I don't have time to look that up.
No
Michael
idea.
King has does not have a rich track record of throwing a lot of innings either.
No.
Christopher Sanchez has been pretty solid throughout the year. Reynaldo Lopez just getting back from being injured for forever. Gavin Williams is a wild card. Reed Detmers is kind of a coin flip. So yeah, I think that this rotation does have a route to be not so good from a health perspective, from a performance perspective. And so I don't know if this is a team that I think the offense is probably the best. The pitching could be good, but I think that he could have gone a long way in adding a pitcher or two here, and he still might. He does have a few pieces that he could move here, whether it's a $1 Reed Detmers or $1 Jacob Lopez, and
Weirdly enough,
Josh
I
Bell.
almost feel the same about his team that I did Dana's a couple weeks ago, where I said you do have a nasty 1-2 in Burns and Sanchez, kind of similar to the Yamamoto Scooble, but
Yeah,
man, would I feel a lot better if you had like a really good, I don't know, Sonny Gray, like a really good third
exactly.
kind of piece to really fill that in. And maybe and that's what I'm saying. I know Peralta's been bad, but like, does he, if you're Chad, you see O'Neal Cruz as an $18 A, which is based on what he was doing this year. O'Neal Cruz was tearing the cover off the ball. If you're Chad, would you trade O'Neal Cruz for Freddie Peralta?
Uh, no, you can't because you know Oaks is going to help you, and you don't know if Peralta's
Yeah.
going to help you at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of
Um,
where I'm at with that.
but the thing with Chad is like, because I messaged him, I offered him Hancock for Caglione, and he said no. So I don't know if that surprises you, but he's like, oh,
Oh,
I don't have the
yeah, a little
outfielder.
bit.
What's that?
It does surprise me a little bit. I could see where he's really high. I mean, Cagliano's only 23 years. I was going to say 13. He's only 23 years old, and
Mhm.
the power numbers in the at
Oh,
bats
he was
are
almost in
there.
Wander
It's just
Franco range.
yeah, yeah, I know. Right? Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, but he's like, I don't have the replacements. He's got nobody on his bench to replace. So, I
Right.
guess that, kind of wouldn't make sense if he doesn't think that there's anything on the waiver wire for him that he could kind of replace and fill in there. So, it's like he almost can see this. Like the lineup is fine. I don't really need to worry about it as long as guys don't get hurt. I need the pitching depth because I need these guys to break out more than anything. He's got six closers on here trying to strike oil with one of these closers.
Right.
Because he's looking for a second closer with Munoz. So. I think there's probably one or two trades left here. At some point, he probably turns Jordan Lawler or Reed Detmers or Jacob Lopez probably into something, maybe Justin. Maybe he just goes and trades one of those guys for Iglesias from Justin, who just put, in the chat the fire sales on a little bit. So, maybe that's going to be a trade that needs to happen too. So, um, yeah, I think that this team will probably still is our favorite to be the champion. But I
Yeah,
think that they're still
but it's
moving
not as
pieces in
obvious,
here.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
Um,
think it's beatable. I mean, I don't think any team. I don't think like Dane's scared to play Chad in the playoffs, and I think if you were in the playoffs, I don't think you're necessarily scared to face him if your team's at full strength.
yeah.
So I think it's definitely a lot less scary than it
I'm
was.
probably the most scared to face him against just about anyone.
Right.
But it's not like I feel defeated before it even starts.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
there's not a path because for the first time all year it does feel like there's a path.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we have back to Crim's team, who we've talked about most of these trades already. So we'll go from the top down this time because we said the Willa Castro, Owen Casey. You liked the Owen Casey, or you liked the Castro side. I like the Casey side.
Yeah, it's simple though.
So
It could go either
yeah,
way.
whatever. Lyle for Guerrero. It's like if Lyle breaks out, then it's great. If he doesn't, then it's not. So I mean, I don't mind the coin flip there, especially if Lyle's a guy that you maybe believe in. Then sure, like that's fine.
Sure.
I just wish he would have gotten a little bit more. See, now when we're framing some of these trades as like the sell-off trades, what sometimes bothers me with some of these trades is like if you're giving up like sure, all-stars and Vlad or whoever else, I guess you can't call them a sure thing anymore, but I want sure things coming back. Like I want guys I know I'm going to keep. Now, in your perspective, you're saying I'm 100% keeping Dalen Lyle at 4. And I'm looking at this going, if he paces this out and it's 18 home runs and 14 steals and a sub 300 OBP. Like I can get that from Cedric Mullins if I wanted to. So I'm not
Yeah,
so
but at
sure.
$5, you keep him in your roster. I mean, you
Yeah,
got to remember he is starting in 72% of leagues. So that means most fantasy leagues have him as a starter, at least a starter somewhere. Again, and this is my point. If he's your ninth or 10th best bat on your team and he's putting up those numbers, you don't mind it. Yes, if he's the fifth best hitter on your team, you're in trouble. But I think I mean, keeping him as a $5 player to me is a no-brainer.
Mhm. So then we have his side of the trade with Dana. Yeah, I'm not gonna like it. because I just think that
Yeah.
you could find Aranda's production. You maybe can't find 380 OBP. If that's what Aranda finishes with, but he might not even get to 20 homers this year. We'll kind of see. He's on pace to be just about there.
Well, and Sonny
Um,
Gray, like you said, is the best player in the deal,
but
right?
yeah, I think that there's a chance that Sonny Gray is maybe the best. But maybe you look at he's 36 years old. So you're like, I'm not banking on for $18, 37-year-old Sonny Gray continuing to do it. That a lot of these guys towards the end of their careers, that just it goes the Max Scherzer route or Verlander route, where it just all of a
Yeah.
sudden it falls off and you
Well,
don't
like
have
I said, I don't think
to
it's
hold the bag. So
inconceivable. I don't think it's inconceivable, and I'm not saying I would do it right now. I don't know if he's had a $30 season yet, but like I said, Ranger Suarez is a $28 D player next year.
mhm.
And if you maybe you look at what pitchers are available, coming into the draft next year, and you're like, hey, like I'll pay 20. And again, I'm not saying it's a sure thing, but
The thing about
I
Suarez, though, is that he's never pitched 160 innings
no,
and he's never been a helper in whip. And so
right.
it's just like you already know that he's like not going to help you in whip. And the strikeout numbers aren't great either. He's never struck out more than one an
Right.
inning, it looks like.
Yeah.
So like that part of it's like I know he can't be an ace. So I would probably throw him back at that point because
Well,
it's
and
just
to
like
me, I don't even think
$30.
at this point, I don't even think Ober's worth $3. I mean, we're talking now probably back-to-back years that he's just been bad. I mean, he's
Yeah.
been bad this year. He was bad last year.
He's he's
So,
in, he's in DFA territory looking
right.
like.
I think Aranda and Steer, yeah, I keep him for the cheap price and what they provide you, but I would argue that Aranda and Steer, I wouldn't trade for Sonny Gray. I mean, like I said, I know he's older, and I know you got to look at
Yeah,
it from
that's
that
completely
perspective.
ignoring Suarez.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, that's a completely ignoring Suarez. So, it's tough because I do think Sonny Gray could be the best keeper in that deal. Again, like you said, he's old, but it's proving to not really care or matter to him right now.
yeah, it's just like it's one of those things where it's like, why wasn't this trade just like Aranda and Steer for Sonny Gray and Casey Schmidt?
Yeah,
Like that that would have almost been
he
better.
made him he made him throw stuff on because it's at that point where it's like, hey, we might as well throw him on and get the deal done. Yeah, kind of deal.
Yeah, but
Yep.
that's kind of that goes to what I was saying earlier in the podcast, which is like what's all these big blockbuster deals, and now it's just like it's kind of getting lost in the sauce. What's actually happening here? Guys just getting thrown in to get thrown in, and
Yeah.
it's hard to really understand that. Just seems like I almost, for lack of a better word, it seems just like lazy almost, where it's just like, sure, like we'll just to get this done to get these players here instead of trying to like parse them out one by one. But if nobody's willing to give up the keepers and parse them one for one, and you're just getting like, I don't think you're getting Sal Stewart or whatever else or Schwellenbach in the
Sure.
one for one. So I guess you have to take what the market gives you, I guess. So can't argue it too much if the market's not
Right.
willing to pay you what we think the market value should say that these guys are worth. All right, and then next we have probably the most creative deal of the year we've said. So bravo to these guys, and bravo for their helper. It sounds like a little bit of collusion happening, maybe, maybe not, with their helper Eric here of Krim acquiring Cam Schlitter, Justin Crawford, and Michael Massey, giving up Dylan Cease, Mike Trout, and Louis Varland. Now this is a haulback. Now these guys are impact guys right here. Louis Varland, who's been a lights out closer, just elite numbers, 1 ERA, 0.96 whip, full-time closer there in Toronto, up in the Great White North there, 20 saves. Mike Trout, now he's healthy. He's performance never an issue. It's just the health when he's on the field. And then Dylan
Yep.
Cease, who has pitched damn near like a science. It's was it odd even year Dylan Cease?
Yep.
Here we are, back to
Cy
2.56
Young candidate.
ERA.
And I remember saying that in the pre-draft pod. I'm like, it's every other year he's a Cy Young candidate.
Yeah,
It's
and
like, what the
correct me
hell?
if I'm wrong. And egg on my face for saying that he's not a keeper, but it's just like it's a coin flip. That's literally what it is. And so the coin flip landed heads. I said tails,
Yep.
and egg on my face. It's just like I still wouldn't want to invest in that as a
Yeah.
keeper because I didn't know what I was getting there. So I mean, big impact for Dex going his way, and getting Cam Schlitter. What a haul. Is this probably the second, maybe best
Yeah.
pitching asset in the league? Him and
I would say
Mizrachi?
so. I would say so. I mean, do you take the double the price of Miz? That's kind of what I was thinking of earlier. Do you take double the price and get Mizrowski with a little bit more of the lower ERA and strikeouts? But I mean, we're splitting hairs here. These are
I
two of the
actually
best
think I would
contracts.
rather have Schlitter for 11 than Mizrachi for
Yeah,
20 because
and
I'll take the
nothing wrong
savings
with that
and
at
the
all.
numbers aren't that far off. He's still got
Right?
solid strikeout numbers. He's playing on a good team and he doesn't throw 106 miles an hour, so I trust him not to be
1,000%. I
a
don't
little bit
disagree with that.
more. So, I do think that maybe it's probably the best pitching asset in the league. So, it probably hurt Dex to give him up, but I mean, you're getting three guys that are slotting, set it and forget it guys in your lineup, which is nice. So, like, I do like this kind of trade where, like, yeah, sure, you give up the haul and you package them together, but
Yeah.
you're getting a guy that you are keeping. Cam Schlitter could probably get Tommy John, you still might keep him. You could miss all of next year, and you still might keep him at that salary.
Well, it's one of those things too, where it's like, and again, this is kind of where I'm looking at it too. Instead of getting those, yeah, I might keep him guys like, I don't know, Spencer Steers or Willie Castro's. Just go all out. This is where you just got to go out and say, hey, I'm going to give you a Cease who's literally matching Cam Schlitter in a lot of ways, in terms of Cy Young candidacy. I'll give you Trout, who when he's on the field, he is going to help you. If he's healthy, he's in your lineup. He's actually been really, really good this year. I mean, in terms of fantasy perspective, you don't care what his average is, right? The
Yeah.
OBP, the home, I mean, in 81 games and essentially half a season, he's been really, really, really good this year. And you get arguably, what, one of the best closers in baseball right now? I mean, never been a closer in his life. It could completely fall off, but Louis Varland's numbers have been absolutely insane this year. And for you to just be able to say, hey, I'm going to haul all this for you. You have a better chance after this trade of winning the league than you did before. And you might even, I would argue, could Trout be a keeper next year if he plays the rest of the year? I think so.
It could.
At $24. I mean, I really think so. So a keeper for a keeper, and then Krim gets Cam Schlitter to really kind of reset his team. Because Krim, for lack of better words, needs a lot of help to make his roster great, and that helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, he's facing a little bit of an uphill battle there. So, but this is a good start. It's a good piece to kind of build around. Building around a pitcher is tough because things can happen fast for a pitcher where all of a sudden they're,
Sure.
they're
Yeah.
useless. The thing about pitchers, like they're an injury away from missing all year. Hitters will get hurt, but they'll be back in a
Yeah.
week, a month, 2 months, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
the
Like they'll break a
rehab
hand, they'll
starts.
do it at, whatever else. You still get production. But like when the pitchers go down, it's over. Like, and that's the thing that sucks the most is that just go from 100 to zero. And it can happen fast. So there's not a better pitcher I would rather build around than Cam Slitter right now at $11. But I did like this for both sides. I
Yeah.
like the creativity of it. So
And again, we don't really see those very often where like Dexter literally, I mean, I even think in terms of myself or Chad or some, I'm not giving away my best player and my best keeper. Like who does that, right?
yeah.
But again, I really think for both sides it made perfect sense because again, you were the equivalence of saying, hey, you still have that Cy Young pitcher. Yeah. Would I probably still rather have Schlitter over Cease in terms of edging it a little bit? Yeah, but I mean, you're again for this year you're splitting hairs. And
Yeah.
again, Dexter's team in the playoffs now having Josh Hader, Louis Varland. You're talking an elite closer combo. Where you're talking Dylan Cease. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a team we haven't even mentioned yet as being one of our scariest teams, and it might
Right.
be. So we'll get there. Get there in a little bit. So looking at Krim's team here, do you think that if you were to give kind of, he's traded most of his pieces. Now
Yeah.
you might have, I don't know if teams are knocking about Mauricio Dubon or Mookie Betts or some of these other guys that he doesn't plan on keeping. Pitching wise, maybe not much unless team wants to overwhelm him for some of these pitchers that he's got.
Yeah.
What kind of grade would you maybe give his rebuild here so far?
I didn't love the. I do think this would look a little bit better with Sonny Gray, but at the end of the day, I don't hate getting around as cheap as he did and getting Steer because again, these are guys you can just slide in your lineup again. That can't be your second or third best guys and stuff like that. But they're guys you can slide in your lineup for cheap. I really like what he's done this trade deadline because honestly, I'm looking at his team now and I know I'm going a little ahead of myself here looking at next year, but I truly see Aranda, Albies, Clement, Spencer Steer, Lyle, um, Basallo, obviously, he's been really good. I mean, if you keep Justin Crawford for two at the prospect pedigree, whatever, but continuing, Max Meyer, Schlitter, Ashcraft. Maybe do you keep Devin Williams because he's a $15 closer? I mean, we're talking Pablo Lopez for $5. We're talking he's got 12 keepers. I mean, he really does have close to 12 keepers in my eyes. Are
Yeah.
any of them going to win you the playoff series outside of Clam Schlitter? Probably not. But again, he can go into next year without a single guy. Think about this, without a single guy worth over $15 next year. He does not have a contract that he's going to keep over $15 next year, and he has about 12 keepers. So he's going to have some of the most money in the league while also having close to 12 keepers. I think he's done a pretty good job. I don't love the trades, but I do think the Cam Schlitter one really kind of makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think he's done a fine job. I'm not overwhelmed by it, but it's like I can't sit here and say like, oh, well, you should have done this, should have done X, Y, Z. Like, you can only take the
Right.
offers that are given to you.
What
So I
what's
think
there?
that I like some of them. I like some of the moves. Yeah, I wish it was parsed out a little bit more, or I wish I was almost like some of those deals where if you're gonna package together Suarez and what's his name Sonny Gray, like I want to look at this roster and be like, yep, that is a piece that he is building around. And
Yeah.
if you're saying like you're building around Jonathan Aranda, I don't feel great about that. So,
No.
Spencer
But
Steer.
his rotation right now with Schlitter, Meyer, and Ashcraft
I mean,
looks pretty
and I
solid.
expect Pablo Lopez to be back next year and
Yeah,
be
Pablo
pretty solid.
Lopez. And to think all those pitchers are under $11. So I really think that there
Mhm.
is some foundation there
Yeah,
that's being built. And honestly, who's to say someone doesn't take a bite on Mookie Betts? I do think that is
they
probably
might.
his
Yeah.
last trade ship. He's not been great. I'm not saying he has been, but I mean, who's to say you can't give up a quality of an Aranda or a Steer or a Lyle? I mean, if you gave up Vlad for Lyle, what's Mookie Betts going for, right? So, yeah, I'm curious on that.
Kazuya is also having a down year. So, um, all right, we'll move on to Dex's team here, Dexy Wexy, who's kind of hung tight, kind of defied a little bit of my slander throughout the year. Has made two trades. So we have the trade that we just got done talking about with Krim. So acquiring Varland, Trout,
Yep.
Cease. So I think it's going to help his team long run. We'll see if if Cease keeps doing what he's doing, it'll absolutely help him because you're getting Varland and Trout. Those guys will help. We'll see how long it hurts him in the long run. We didn't really mention Justin Crawford, Massey. I think Massey was a D contract. Crawford,
$2.
it's gonna be really hypocritical, but because he's kind of in the same situation as Lyle, where he's not really providing anything. But he had high hopes coming into the year as a center fielder. It was kind of like the oh God, who was the you might know this. Who was the center fielder from the Braves that was like defense and speed only that we're like waiting on, like a top prospect who then he got called up and like was never anything. He was like a better real life prospect than a fantasy prospect.
Ooh, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember from the Braves.
It was like from a couple years ago. But I just remember he was like basically on the top 100 list like for 3 years in a row. We're like waiting on him. But he was more of like a contact, speeds,
Right.
defense guy, and he was never like a fantasy guy despite high hopes. I'll have to look that up later. But he's kind of like that a little bit, where you just hope he steals 30 bases, but he's not even
Sure.
there yet. Because if he's going to only steal less than 20 bases and he's not going to provide anything else, then he's not
Tough.
going to be
Yeah.
a keeper. But a guy that you want to have as a scratch off lottery ticket for $2.
Exactly. Yep. I agree.
Yeah, I like this deal for Dex. I like that deal for both. And then we have the Cal Raleigh for Brandon Marsh and Liam Hicks.
Yeah.
Wild, wild one. This
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me. Um,
For
but I
for
guess
Phil. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, do you think it makes sense for Dex?
More. I mean, Brandon Marsh is doing very good.
Yeah, he's playing very well. I mean, 15 home runs, 46 RBIs, 52 runs, 8 steals, and a 332 OBP.
Yeah.
That's
I
like
mean,
above average in just about everything, but
but
it's
I
not
guess here's what
knocking
I'll say.
accuracy off.
Here's what I'll say. Liam Hicks is actually doing really well. He's playing better than Cal Raleigh, and Brandon Marsh is a contributor in Dexter's lineup, right? So he literally just got Brandon Marsh starter, Liam Hicks starter for Cal Raleigh, who is not a keeper. I mean, I'm sorry, he's
Yeah.
not. I
Yeah,
don't care what Cal Raleigh does the rest of the year. I'm sorry, you'd be stupid to keep him at $34 next year.
yeah, yeah. It didn't make any sense from Phil's perspective, and we'll
No.
kind of
So
get to
to me,
that.
this is like
We'll
an
get to
A
that
plus
later.
plus
But
for Dexter because like how can it hurt him? It can't.
I would rather have Cal Raleigh than Liam Hicks rest of the year. And no disrespect to Liam Hicks, but he has put up even better counting stats than you would even expect. 52 runs, 58 RBIs, 13 home runs, and a 360 on base percentage. I mean, that is fantastic. But I still think that from this point forward, I would rather have Cal Raleigh on my team than Liam Hicks. But I mean, if it's a salary thing and he's squeezing salaries into his lineup, then I mean, cutting Cal Raleigh's salary can help. But I also think that Brandon Marsh is also the kind of guy that I think I've said for a while that Dex kind of needs on his team. So that part I can
I
kind of
will
get
say he
behind.
is cutting close to salary. He's at 323.
So then maybe that is part of the reason why the
Yeah.
deal was as motivating for him because now that getting that salary out and now you can fit all these, Olsen, Schwarber and Alonso
Trout.
and Ellie in your lineup. So like we've always said, like this is a team that has the stars. It's just like what rounds it out. And so he never really needed the guys. Like he doesn't need Tyler Tolbert in his lineup to just come in and steal bases. Like he has plenty of steals. He doesn't really need a guy like Xavier Edwards. He just needs kind of guys that can round it out. And so Brandon Marsh is the kind of quality guy that just is the Ian Happ type, as I said before, that just
Yep.
contributes in all five categories at an above average rate for what he's done this year. We'll see if he keeps it up because it's not really who he's been in his career. So, we'll kind of see. He already has more RBIs than he had last year. I guess he didn't play a full season, but he's mostly been a platoon bat in the past. But we'll also see if Philly ends up. Usually he's been platoon guy, so I think Philly might try and trade for an outfielder, and that might hinder his at bats a little bit. So we'll kind of see what he gets out of him there. So a little bit of a head scratcher for me. I think Deck's probably going to come out ahead. If Liam Hicks is anywhere near the production of Cal Raleigh, then it's a great trade because you're cutting the salary and getting the same
Yeah.
production. But yeah, it is just a weird one. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't know, not sure what. And again, I know Marsh is a D. I know Hicks is a D. So I don't really know how much you can really get for those guys. But I mean, I just don't think you're keeping Keller. But I guess I get the gamble. Phil goes, hey, maybe Raleigh hits 50. He's done it before. Maybe Raleigh hits 20 home runs in the last month and a half. I mean, it's happened. So I guess I
Yeah.
understand the gamble on that sense, but didn't love it.
Yeah. So we haven't really mentioned this team as one of our scary playoff teams, and it's looking like where he's at here, that he's probably going to be in the playoffs, I'd imagine. He is currently 2 games up of the last spot, so 2.5 games up on Peter, who's outside the playoff picture. He's right now ahead of Bryce in their matchup, so he's not locked in by any means. He's probably not
Yep.
comfortable, but he's got to feel okay about where he's at here. And do you think that this is a team that is, like a tier below Chad, but a tier above Matt and Bryce?
Uh,
Or what do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think Bryson Spelly's team has obviously been so hot lately. Weirdly enough, I think they're very close to a similar tier, but I'd probably give the edge to Dexter a little bit just because I think the lineup is. I do think Dexter's lineup is
From who?
Dexter. I think he's a little bit of a tier up from Bryson and Spelly.
Okay.
Yeah.
He-
But I do think it's probably the closest comp. Because I do think Dexter's lineup is insane. I mean, Michael Harris, Pete Crow, Ellie, and really when you're looking at it, which is kind of interesting to me, almost none of these guys are having career years even still. Like obviously we know Trout's not. Olson's doing great, but he's had better years. You can maybe argue Schwarber, but obviously we know what he did last year. Pete Crow's, I'd probably argue a career from Pete Crow, but Ellie not, Pete Alonso not. So, but none of these guys are doing bad. Like literally no one's in his lineup where he's like, man, I just can't wait for him to turn it around. I really need him to turn it. They are all producing. He doesn't have a single guy in his lineup, but it's like, oh, well, I really need, Manny Machado to turn it around or Ketel Marte. All of his guys are doing well. The only thing, and I think we've said it all year, and we've kind of been proving wrong because they've been doing well. I don't know if I can trust the pitching in the playoffs. I just
Yeah.
don't know if I can. And having Hader and Varland, I think, is great because in a playoff 2 week stretch, you can get 4 saves in that first week. Your opponent could have zero, and then you could pull off that and try to do something else. Or I do think there's wiggle room where you can kind of manipulate matchups. But when we're talking about Nick Martinez in there, who I traded him, and he's got a he's been 62 strikeouts over 105 innings. Like you're not getting any help there. Matthew Boyd's not been great. Eduardo Rodriguez, as great as he's been, also very much not a strikeout guy. 82 innings, or 82 Ks in 116 innings. But like, do you really trust Eduardo? And I've had Eduardo Rodriguez on multiple of my fantasy teams. Do you really trust that going into the playoffs? I mean, is he really going to keep that up? He might. Great, he does. Awesome. But to me, I still worry about the pitching. I really do, and I think he could really use like a big strikeout guy.
So,
Even though he just got Dylan Cease,
yeah, I mean, he
he needs
got it,
another
but
one.
Dylan Cease wasn't that much of a strikeout upgrade over Cam Schlitter, all things
No, no.
considered. But he is a little bit of a strikeout upgrade. Boyd in the past has been a little bit more of a strikeout than we've shown this year. This is kind of like Dana's team, where like this is a team that has one player, Quinn Priester on IR. So a tremendous health, a perfect track record. Granted, Boyd was hurt for a while.
Yeah.
McClanahan wasn't ready for the start of the. No, he's probably most of the year actually. And so like Trout was hurt for a little bit, but I think he traded for him when he was healthy. So
Yeah.
he's had basically perfect health from pretty much everybody all year. He's
Yep.
had breakout seasons in his pitching. Now you said you're correct about like the hitting has kind of been as advertised for most of these guys. Now Caballero and Edwards, he's been getting breakout power numbers,
Yeah.
from some of them. And so you look at the pitching, he's like breakout from Nick Martinez, breakout from Eduardo Rodriguez and stuff. And you're like, but at what point was Dex the best team in the league? You could look at this, you're like, wow, this team is great on paper. He's got all these guys with 2.5 ERAs in his pitching staff, and he's got an offense that's absolutely loaded. And you're like, what? How come at no point was he ever like the best team in the league? Because it looks like he should be with some of
Yeah.
these numbers. And so like that's the part where it's like I just don't always get how it comes together. But I think
But
that
it's also one of those offenses where like you could catch him in a 2 week stretch and you could lose every category.
yeah,
I mean, literally, he's got the steals, he's got the home runs, I mean, you could catch Dexter on a bad 2 week stretch and you're like, I'm literally not winning a single offensive category.
yep,
Fuck. And
yep.
then that's to me where his team is dangerous.
Yeah, and then all he has to do is win saves at that point, which he
He's
kind
got
of
to win one
like
category.
you gotta like his odds to do. So
Right.
yeah,
And
I
that's
mean
where I think he even maybe picked up a Dylan Lee on the bottom because it's like, oh, why'd you pick up Dylan Lee? What if he does get a big save? He's got a huge home run lead this lead. Okay. You throw Hader, Varland in there. Why not throw Dylan Lee in there? Keep your ERA and whip down,
mhm.
but I mean,
I
that could
don't hate
almost
it.
be like a playoff tool come playoff.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, like I do think that there's a scary side of this where it's just like, yeah, if you fall behind this team, like it's
Yeah,
you start fall behind an offense, and then he gets loads up on those saves. Like, man, what the hell do I do? So like it
exactly.
certainly can be scary and head to head with especially some of these Schwarbers and Pete Crows and Ellie when they get
I
hot,
mean, just look at that power.
they are burning. So
I think he
uh,
has outside of Caminero. If I didn't count Caminero on my team, I think he's got 6 dudes with more home runs than anyone on my team. I mean,
yeah.
like literally. I mean, it's just insane. Yeah.
So I do think it can be scary. It's a team I wouldn't want to face necessarily in the playoffs because I think that like I said, on the right week it can knock you out easily. But I
Yeah.
think the floor is pretty low of what it can be, especially if like Hader gives up 3 runs in a start, or any of these guys go down, or I don't know. There's not enough pitching depth here, so I'd like to see him add another quality pitcher or two.
Right.
Funny how there's some teams that have pitching, and sometimes it's like, oh man, they could use another pitcher. You can never have too much pitching,
Yeah.
right?
But that is why I do love that he made the deal for Varland, though, because at least he can rely on. I do have at least
Mhm.
maybe that locked in or locked up,
Yeah.
which I think is good. If he didn't have Varland and he still was looking for other kinds of pitching, I think being able to say, I got two elite closers, I think that really kind of shores it up a little bit more.
I wonder like if he's acquiring a pitcher, who he's giving up.
Yeah, again, he's kind of in that let it ride stage, right?
Yeah,
Maybe a
you're gonna hope that somebody bites on Quinn Priester, I guess.
right where Michael Walker. Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah.
If I'm not acquiring Michael Wacha if I'm a rebuilding team, but I don't know. Some people have before, so
Yeah.
it's almost like I don't see a piece here that I could see him
Ride
moving.
it out, man. He's got to ride it out.
So, yeah, he's got to figure out some way. But so I wonder, like he could. I'm thinking right now. I sent him a trade. I offered him this morning. I sent him Hancock for Hancock and Josh Bell for Pete Alonso, and
What?
it was swiftly declined.
Yeah, I would swiftly decline
So,
that
which is
too.
fine. Well, you're sleeping on what Josh Bell's numbers actually are, though.
I might be.
He's put up Pete Alonso numbers. So Pete Alonso's 60, 20, 60, and 4, and
He's got
Josh,
that.
yes, actually.
That's
Uh,
crazy.
Yeah, Josh Bell is 48. Home runs aren't there. Third,
Or
13.
the OBP.
Yeah, 60 RBIs. So really only RBIs. But anywho, it's not about me. But I was wondering maybe I should trade him, offer him Max Fried for Pete Alonso.
Yeah, that'd be
Uh,
interesting.
could be something that would make sense because he's got Matt Olson as his other first baseman. So,
Right.
but I don't know. I don't think I'll ever make a trade with Dex. I think I'm on the no-fly list
Hey, you
there.
never know, man. He made one with Phil, so we're getting there. Baby steps.
And anything is possible. All right, to your team now. We
We got a
have
lot to talk about here.
nothing. So,
Yeah.
all righty. Staying
Yep.
pat. Sitting pretty here.
Yep.
There's so do you have pieces of trade here? Like you
No,
do. You're kind of holding on. I mean,
I
you got
am.
guys in your lineup like Ceddanne Rafaela, who's very blah,
He's
Evan
fine though.
Carter, who's not.
Contributor.
Jung Ho Lee. You got so many holes in this lineup. Kyle Karros, who is flash in the pan, picked him up for the waivers. We'll see if he's good
He's
rest
been
of the
really good
season.
lately.
I can't believe you haven't traded some of these guys for
Here's the way I look at it, Kyle, and we kind of talked about this about pre-show. I almost have the buy locked up.
yeah,
The head-to-head playoffs don't start, at least for me. And again, as long as I don't 1-9 these next couple weeks, right? But
yeah,
the head-to-head playoffs do not literally start for me until August. Let's see, the first matchup is literally August 24th.
yeah,
Okay. I don't need to carry until August 24th, almost on
pretty much.
terms of what my
I mean,
head-to-head team does.
yeah,
Right. So when I get Jose Ramirez back, when I get whether he's going to do good or not, though, I'm going to get all of these reinforcements back: Gleyber Torres, Jose Ramirez, Corey Seager, and Roman Anthony. They are all scheduled
Yeah.
to be back within that month period.
Yeah.
So to me, that's my trades to make my team better. So
Yeah.
no, I don't really see like where, and that's kind of why I have stayed put, because it's like, well, really, what do I do? I don't know.
Yeah. I know, I've heard you've been pretty high on Logan Henderson.
I'm
That's
very high on Logan
he's been pretty
Henderson. Yeah.
untouchable. If only Milwaukee was as high on him as you were. It seems like they've kind of kept him down. They don't really want to, and then he's been hurt a ton, and then he's
He's been
kind
banged
of
up a little
hurt
bit.
again, and another forearm injury. You don't love to see that from a prospect. So, I'm a little bit shaky on him. We'll see here on what you're actually
He's
going to
been
get
banged
out of
up
him.
a little bit, but dude, he's awesome. He was great last year in his little stretch too. Like
Yeah.
I mean, he's never pitched bad in the majors yet. So,
Yeah, he's a little bit of a Yuri Perez there, where flash in the pan kind of
and that's
guy.
kind of my thing with the pitching is I'm looking at some of these other rotations, and I don't have a 1 and 2 like these other guys do. I don't, but I feel like in terms of like an actual 1 through 5 or a 1 through 6 or what do you want to call it, I don't have that elite star power of a Skubal or a Yamamoto or a Sale or I don't have that. But I feel like in terms of just like consistency, 1 through 6, again, I don't hate my rotation. I don't think it's like bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's fine. Yeah, just kind of treading water. You're just hoping that you just rack up the quality starts and just nickel and
yeah,
dime
and
to
well,
the
and this is with
understuff.
Taj Bradley being on fire lately. This is with Peter Lambert being on fire lately. Like I know these are names we don't really think of, but like I also feel like I can kind of play matchups a little bit too because they've been really, really good as well. So I don't know. I feel like I got the reinforcements hitting where I get Karros out of my lineup, I get Jung Ho Lee out of my lineup, and all of a sudden I'm ready to rock. So
Would
I
you
don't know. I
trade
feel like,
would
huh?
you trade Leo DeVries for Raisel Iglesias?
No.
Mm, mm,
What I'm telling you, dude,
mm,
the track record shows in the last few years, the top prospect in our league goes for $20.
When's he going to be called up though?
Next year, it will be. He's
Yeah.
killing it, and I think is he in AAA or in AA? He's killing it.
Double A.
Yeah.
0 for 4 is killing it.
On what was that July 8th? They
Yeah.
update like that like every
Like that,
month,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah, so okay then. Well, yeah, so I mean I hope for all of our sakes that you don't hold it down, but I totally
Yeah.
get it. You're in a
But I
good
mean
spot.
that's the way I look at it because like
You've earned a comfortable lead, so
from a
you're
roto
you're correct
perspective,
in your analysis because you're pretty much out of it in Roto. You don't really need
right?
anything right now.
Exactly.
You
So like
could,
why?
if you wanted to, you could make a run into Roto. Like if
Right.
you actually want to put your chips together, you could make a run back into Roto with where you're at.
Maybe. But it's one of those
You
things
have
like
two
with
months.
what chips? Like what am I taking at that point if I'm taking away players that are on my team? It's almost like,
I mean
am I hurting myself?
Henderson and
Yeah.
DeVries and
But who's to say Henderson won't be my best pitcher the next month? I mean, who's to say he won't be? I mean, literally.
are they going to let him go deep into games?
I don't. They're in the playoff stretch and he's just getting warmed up. I don't see why not.
Well, I mean, we let him build up pitches. I guess they let him throw 84, 85
Yeah.
pitches. So not letting him get to the sixth inning. Oh, once to the sixth inning. So, yeah, maybe. So I mean, I think you could, but if you're just like, I don't really like my odds to
Right.
beat some of Dex,
I
me,
guess
and
my
Bryce,
point is,
Bryson, Dad, and Roto.
I think I'm in a position where I don't think I'm the best or second best team, but I think my team is positioned, especially with the people coming back. I don't think there's a team that I can't beat either.
Yeah, yeah, probably won't if you get all healthy. I could see it.
Yeah.
All right, we have another seller here. We have Jordan here, Pablo's Powerhouse. And so he's made a couple moves here. He's only made one trade, the trade with me that you liked since the last podcast. So he
Yeah.
made the abomination that was the Nick Kurtz trade, but
Right.
you like the Andy Diaz, Jacob Wilson trade for him.
I do. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, again, you're not getting much for Trey Turner with what he was doing. He was a C. Will Smith, again, being in that one. Yeah, I could argue he's a keeper, but again, now we're getting into that higher tier catcher range price where it's like, oh, yeah, Dodger, okay, maybe. But yeah, to get Yandy Diaz and Jacob Wilson, who even Jacob Wilson might be a stretch at $5 as a keeper, but again, it's kind of one of those why nots. I just liked it for him because, again, it was really one of those why nots. Is there a world where he could have maybe gotten Will Smith and Trey Turner a little bit more for someone else? Sure, but I don't really think there was that much more of an avenue to get that. So overall, I did like it. Yeah.
I like that you can look at it and say like I'm not necessarily building around him. And again, this is don't take this out of context because this is a little contradictory here because it's kind of similar to Jonathan Ronda. I don't like that you're not really building around Yandy Diaz, but you can look at Yandy Diaz and say, yeah, I'm keeping him for $5.
Exactly.
And so it's
Yeah.
like when you acquire those surefire things, and same thing with Krim, like you're gonna keep Aranda for 4. So don't hear what I'm not saying. But what I'm gonna say about this team is the same thing I'm gonna say about Krim's team, which is like which of these players am I like happy I'm like building around? It's like Jordan Walker. Oh, I'm like, yep, that's great, fantastic. Luis Garcia, which how he's played this year, awesome.
Yep.
Great value there. And then
Abreu.
Yandy Diaz a piece, Abreu with the since he's turned down this past weekend now looks like a keeper.
Yeah.
And the pitching staff has some names
The
on it.
water for a dollar.
Uh, yeah, you're gonna keep him,
Well,
but
yeah.
he's not performed for 2 months now.
I think with
And
how Spencer Horwitz has performed, I know he's never really done it over a full year, but I mean that's a half a season worth of work, and that's keepable at a dollar.
yeah, so I mean, you have some cheap guys here.
He's a
You
lot
have
like Crimson.
Bradish, Cole. You'll keep those guys. Burns, you'll keep him. Waldrip, Tong, who knows? You're probably not gonna keep many of these guys. All these guys are in the minor leagues right now, so like, there's a lot of options here. I mean, he's just sitting on a stack of lottery tickets here, but
Yeah.
it's like looking at the team, being like, I see like four guys that I know he's keeping. And I'm like, you couldn't get any more like surefire kind of, values here. So it's a little bit weird to me, but
Well, and to me, one of the worst keepers in the offseason was Roki Sasaki, and that's kind
yeah,
of panned out to be true. Like, why did we keep that for $22? That could have went somewhere else. But I think Krim's set up a little bit better, obviously having Schlitter in that
that was going
superstar.
to be my next question.
Yeah, I definitely think he's set up better than Jordan. Um, but overall, I do think Jordan does have probably. Let's see, I would keep Mize,
I imagine
Cole.
he'll keep 12 because they're so damn
Yeah,
cheap, but I just like,
and
I
that's
couldn't
kind
tell
of
you
where I'm
what
at.
12 they're going to be.
You're keeping Burns at five, Mize, Cole, Bradish. There's four pitchers. Howowitz five, Delauder six, Diaz seven, Walker eight, Abreu nine. Let's say Wilson 10, Garcia 11. So yeah, you're right around 11 or 12 keepers. So I think that it's a very good comp to look at him and Crim's team. But
Mhm.
I'd probably take Crim's team over. And they're still going into the draft. They will be two of the worst teams in the league, but neither of them are paying money on any contract. Like, what is the most expensive contract I just said that Jordan's keeping? Honestly, probably Garrett Cole at 16. I
Yeah,
mean, that's literally it.
probably not another double digit guy after that.
Exactly. So Krim and Jordan are both going to be in a position next year, which again makes our league great, where you can get out of that hole. They're both going to be in a position next year to have an insanely stupid amount of money and go into next year's draft. They just
Now
got to
the
spend it right.
contract is going to be that much many fewer all stars available because of due
Yeah.
to the contracts. But Aaron Judge will be there, Julio should probably be there, Tatis will be there.
A lot of people will be there. Yeah,
Um,
there's gonna be some studs.
so
Bryce Harper's, all of them.
would you rather have
Schwarber.
the Cam Schlitter, or would you rather have like six of these $1 guys?
I'd rather have Schlitter. I mean, if you're looking at
Would
this
you rather
exact
have Cam Schlitter or would you rather have Corbin Burns? Let's see here. Who else did he acquire?
Jordan Walker, I think is a big one too, but
So like if I were to say Corbin Burns, Waldrip, Jacob Wilson, and we'll say who's another guy he acquired? And DeLauder. So if you say like, or maybe even Yandy Diaz. So we say like DeLauder, Yandy Diaz, Jacob Wilson, Corbin Burns, and like Waldrip. That was like the guys he acquired. Would you rather have those five, or would you rather have the one guy in Cam Schlitter?
I think I'd rather have Schlitter. Yeah.
I would too, and that's why I kind of like look at this being like, but if Schlitter gets hurt, then he looks like a genius. And if
Yep.
several of these guys pan out, which they
But
could,
either
they're
way,
all height, then yeah,
similar positions, right? Krim does have the superstar. Jordan does not. But both going in with a shit ton of money next year. And again, I said well, one of my favorite shows is the pre-draft show that we do because it's kind of fun looking at the league, seeing where teams can go. And I remember saying it to you, like there is no reason Jordan shouldn't have gone into that draft and had three of the top four guys. There was no reason blank shouldn't. That's what Dexter did. He went out there and got Cal Raleigh and Ellie De La Cruz, and
yep,
it's just one of those things. Like if you're Krim and you're Jordan, and you go into next year's draft with, I mean, they're gonna go in with over $200+ next year.
yep.
Why aren't you getting three guys that are over 30, $35? I mean, there's no
Or at
reason
least make
not to.
everyone pay $45 to $50 on the guys that don't
Yes.
want to. Make everyone pay
Yes.
$48 for Jordan Alvarez.
Yes, use that money and bully people. I mean, there
Yeah.
is zero reason not to. What do you have to lose? The league
Yeah.
again?
And then
You
like
know
it
what I mean?
makes
Like,
everybody else's teams worse. That's what
yes.
gives you a chance. Like you don't let these guys go for $31 or
Yep.
whatever it is, or $40 when they should go for 51.
Thousand
Like
percent.
make them
There's no
have ten
reason.
dollars less than they thought they were gonna have.
Yep, there's no reason they shouldn't be the bullies in next year's draft. Absolutely not. And again, that's what you got to love about this league, that they are as bad as they are, and the path is there. I mean, there is a path. They didn't like screw themselves by doing anything.
Yeah. Next we have Peter, who made one trade. He acquired TJ Rumfield from Colorado, gave up Kyle Manzardo. Sure.
Yeah. I mean
Uh,
it's fine. I know Rumfield's been doing like fine. He's been on a little bit of a heater lately, so I mean it's yeah, it's fine.
His overall
Typical.
numbers don't look great, but I think he's been hot at certain times and cold
Yeah.
at other times. So his overall numbers don't look great. With 13 home runs, 51 RBIs, 380 OBP is great. And 43 runs. So I think it's an upgrade. I mean, he'll take it. I don't know
Yeah.
if Manzardo is going to be a keeper at I think it was like $4 or something like that. But
Right.
and that's an appropriate move there. Like a guy that's maybe
Yeah.
a keeper for a guy that's maybe an upgrade somewhere. It's kind of the
And,
perfect
and
one for one there.
And it's one of those things too, where I know Peter's very hesitant to make moves, and honestly, he's starting to jump up the list of hardest to trade with, and I wouldn't even, and I think a lot of it is just because of like I don't think he, I don't know the right way to put this. He does like the valuing his own guys like insanely much while not valuing others, and it's one of those things like it makes it very hard to trade with him because like unless he obviously is 100% winning trades, it really seems like he does not make trades at all. Just
Yeah.
because like he has to be absolutely without a shadow of a doubt getting the better end of the deal. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Yeah, what bothers me with Peters, it's like he'll tell you every reason why a trade offer doesn't make sense without actually offering anything
yeah.
comes the other way. It's just like he'll inquire about a guy and tear like the oldest page in the book of inquire about a guy and tear him down at the same time, like kind of a thing. It's just like, all right, well, what would you recommend instead, kind of a thing.
Right.
So,
And again,
um,
now that we're like talking about his team and looking at his team, looking at, he is right on the brink of the playoffs. He's right there. He's right in that spot. The MO on Peter over the years, and this is why it's fun that we've been doing this league this long, is he doesn't make the moves. He sinks instead of swimming. His team starts off hot. It falls apart. I'm looking at this team now, and yes, he's got Skeens and he's got Wu at the top, who are both not doing as good as they've done in the past. I'm looking at this team, and again, after looking at Bryce and Spelly's teams who are hot, like is this arguably the least scary team? Like I don't love again Judge being red right there makes a big difference. I get that. Connor Griffin with a big red spot there hurts a little bit. If they're back in the lineup come playoff time, sure. But like, yeah, Skeens and Woo, if they're right there ready to go come playoff time, yeah, oh man, that's tough. But like right now, like I probably put them in the Spelly Embrace range. Like I put Peter's team there. I don't it doesn't scare me.
um, I think I would still put it like a notch ahead of them just because
Okay.
like it's a team that's proven. Like I said, over the last couple of weeks, it has been the number one team. Over the last
Yeah.
month and a half, it is tied for being the number one team with Spelly. Over the last 3 weeks, it is our standalone number one team. And so it's like it's
And
hard
this
to
is
really
without
argue with that.
Judge.
Yeah, and this is without Judge. So he's getting Judge back, and it's without a lot of his guys playing particularly well. Like Tatis hasn't played well all year, and I expect him to. Jazz Chisholm hasn't really played well all year, and I expect him to. And you got Mickey Moniak back a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
who we'll see if he's actually a contributor, if he's real or not. Hunter Goodman's played out of his ass,
Yeah.
and he'll get Judge
Jordan.
back. And like with
Yeah.
Skeens and Woo, not playing to their best either. So it's like this is a team that like has been performing and underperforming at the same time, where
Yeah.
it's just like he's actually his team has come together in a way where he's kicking everybody's ass while still having a bunch of studs underperforming. So it's like I think there's almost a scarier side of that, where as opposed to Dana and Dex, where like they're like peaking right now, where it's almost like Peter hasn't even peaked yet, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Jordan's going to keep up the pace. Hunter Goodman's not going to keep up a 50 home run pace, I would imagine, although he hit three more home runs last night. So, we'll kind of remains to be seen there. For as much as he says these guys are on the block, they're never actually on the block. So, we'll see. But I do think that this team is a scary team. And I do take it very seriously, because how could you not? It's a team that's performing well. So, I
I would
don't.
say, yeah, if he gets in the playoffs, I would be, especially if Judge is back. I do think it is scary because if you're going against any lineup with Goodman, Alvarez, and Judge in it at that point, and that, like you said, that's with an underperforming Tatis, like that is scary. I mean, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that I think that does stack up with Dex, and I think it does stack up with Chad, and I think that when you have the guys he has in his rotation too, with a lot of upside arms too, like with these arms, that, like I said here before, whether it's Ben Brown or Noah Schultz or Cade Anderson or Peyton Tully, like these guys are guys that have flashed upside or like could be really good. It's better than like a Michael Wacha, where it's just like we kind of know what he is. Where these
Sure.
guys like in a two, like if Noah Schultz in a two-start week could get you 14 strikeouts. You kind of never know. So.
Sure.
Um, with some of the stuff that he's got here, Jake Bennett's pitching well, so he's kind of been pretty active on the waiver wire, picked up a lot of guys, so I commend him for that. And then, maybe he's got some reinforcements with Palencia and Ben Brown at some point too. So, I do take this team seriously if he ends up getting to the dance, but he's got to
Yeah.
get there first. And if he's stubborn as he usually is, and he misses out on the playoffs, he's got nobody to blame but himself that he
Well, and
didn't
this is also
create
with
the
Sandy
blueprint.
Alcantara really kind of starting to turn that corner and look more
Yeah,
like Sandy
he's been
Alcantara too.
pitching well lately too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that like he could peak, like he might be peaking right now and just be going on a bloodbath for the next month. And like look out because this team can stack
Well,
can
and
match
you're the
up with
team right
anybody.
in front of him, Kyle. You better
I
keep him
know.
off your tail.
There's nothing I can do at this point. I can only play the match in front of me. But yeah, I wish I could keep him at bay a little bit. I can't. I got it at my hands full with Jordan's squad
Yeah.
for fuck's sake. All right, so next we have our mystery team here. We don't know if he's going to be a buyer or seller. You would lean sell, right?
Oh, for sure, 100%. Yeah.
Um, Sitting
I mean,
here,
I
I
think
think it's too early to call because it's like I don't know what he's going to get at this point. Like, is it even worth it to sell? Because what are honestly are you going to
oh,
get?
I
It might
do.
just be worth it just to put the chips, probably just stay put maybe, which
I'm
is
trading
probably
Wilson Contreras. I'm trading
to who though?
Bazana.
To who for what?
But I mean, why not pack something? I mean, Wilson Contreras is easily starting on any team.
Hmm.
Bazana with the steals and everything he's done in his limited amount of time. Like you already mentioned Francisco Lindor. If
Yeah,
anything, I really think it's Bryce and Chris that have the most assets left. With how good the Red
he's
Sox
six
have
and a
been.
half games of a playoff spot.
Right. With how much the Red Sox have been good lately, who's not like what kind of flyer can you get for Jarren Duran? And maybe it is Jarren Duran and Bazan in a trade together for a keeper or something, but I definitely think Chris has stuff to deal, and I think he needs to.
Mhm.
I mean, again, no one's saying you have to keep Teoscar Hernandez at $22. Nobody is, but when you're hitting in that lineup and it's August, why not? If you can have if you're a playoff team and you're like, hey, I could kind of fill a roster, why not go after him? So I actually think Chris has a decent amount. Well,
I think
why don't for
I
you?
think your theory is I think your theory is correct, but why like we just
Why
went
don't
through a
you go
bunch of
after Carson Kelly?
we just went through a bunch of teams and we just had like, oh, we don't really know if they have the asset to move. Like I don't like Dex doesn't have an asset to move for these
Right.
guys. Like Bryce is probably not going to be a seller. Like I don't really have assets to move. You not are
Like
not aren't going to move any assets. Chad maybe, but like
if I'm
who's
you
the
right
actual team
now,
that has assets to give up?
if I'm you right now, I'm trading literally because you need him now. I'm trading Will Smith for Carson Kelly.
I don't know. I don't know if he would do that
I
because
know. I'm
I
just
don't
saying
think
if
Will
I'm
Smith
you.
is a keeper, but
Yeah.
I don't think Carson Kelly is an upgrade over Salvador Perez.
Oh, he is.
Mm, no, not from a power or anything standpoint. It's just OBP is a lot
Well,
bigger,
you got to
but
remember Carson Kelly's only got 227 at bats too. He was kind of dinged up for a little bit there, but
okay, so he's on a
no,
15 home run pace.
even still, that OBP is destroying you. That's not just like, oh, it hurts. That's destroying you. Um,
I don't think he's
yeah,
that big of an upgrade over
it's not a
Salvador
huge
Perez
upgrade, but I mean, it's
that
something.
I would want to give up Will Smith for it.
Yeah, well, you're also not keeping Will Smith at $16 either.
No, I'm not.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Have someone help you now, or have someone when you're not in the playoffs.
Hmm.
And that's,
Um,
I guess that's kind of the way I look at it. But no, overall, I think he does have pieces. Like pitching wise, no. Sean Burke, I mean, that talk about a guy 120 Ks and 112 innings. I get it's a White Sox guy. He probably wants to keep him, but like Sean Burke can go help teams.
mhm.
Freddie Peralta, we've talked about, has as struggle as he's been, can help teams. Who's to say he's not the guy that trades Peralta and Burke in a deal, or Bazana and Lindor in a deal? That's why I think. I mean, unless Chris 9 wins this week, which doesn't look likely. I think he does have pieces to deal. 100%.
I just don't know who he deals them to.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. It's like, yeah, like you're right. I think he probably should because yeah, unless he goes 9-1, there's gonna be 2 weeks left and he's gonna be 8.5 games back, maybe, or who knows what it's gonna be, 6.5 back now. So
Yeah.
unless he gains a lot of ground this week, it might be even further. But like we went through a bunch of teams. I can't think of a single team, like maybe or maybe Chad that would give up some stuff for this, or Dana, I guess, with some creative pieces that could make a difference. But I think he could make some teams a little bit more scary with some of these
I guess
guys.
it goes back to the age-old question of like, is it better to get nothing? Is it better to get something than nothing? Because like, I'm not saying even I would do this, but like, who's to say it's a day before the deadline and he says, "Hey, I'll take Leo DeVries for Lindor and Bazana."
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah, it could be.
I don't know. So
It depends on how many. Is he 11 games back at that point, or is he 4 games back at that point?
exactly, and
It's
then
like,
that makes a
is it a
difference,
10% chance he makes the playoff, or is there a 0% chance he makes
right?
the playoffs?
Well, it's very low right now. I'll say that
Yeah.
because he's 6.5 back right now. So
Hmm. Yeah. So That part's going to be a little tough there. So, we don't have any trades to go over, unfortunately, I don't believe, right? And so, uh, I you think that he should go one way. I think he's probably just going to end up staying pat because we have no reason to think otherwise, unfortunately. I hope he kind of goes one way or the other. It's tough to imagine being a buyer, because he's too far back to really
Yeah, no.
and not enough to give away. I don't see him mortgaging the future for just for a chance to make the playoffs because he's not even gonna. It's not like he at the end of this year will be like he's locked and loaded. All he has to do is take care of his business. He's still got an uphill climb. So
Yeah.
I would imagine he just probably stands pat unless he gets overwhelmed by an offer, DeVries for somebody or whatever else it may
Sure.
be. So, um, yeah, I think that's just probably where he's at. All right, next we have Phil's team, who's made a few deals here. Some probably we like, some we probably don't like. So, I think most of these I'm not a big fan of. But I was a big fan of the one he made with Spelly. Is there any other ones that you want to talk? I mean, we talked about earlier, but the Cal Raleigh one makes no sense.
Yeah, the Cal Raleigh one makes no sense. This one with Spelly was fine. Like I said, he gets a $2 closer. I don't care what his age is. He gets Santander, who could be a 30 and 90 bat. So I don't hate that. Matt Chapman's whatever. He's a C. He's not being kept. So I think that's a win for Phil. Like I said, I didn't like getting Grant Holmes for Valdez and Hancock, but again, how much more do you get that? I'm not even throwing Rooker in there right now, but we'll see. So again, these are trades that are going to be interesting to look back on, even come February or March when we do kind of lock keepers in again. But
Mhm.
like I said, I didn't like the Cal Raleigh one. But again, I get it. How much more are you going to get from Martian Hicks? If Cal Raleigh hits 15 home runs in the next month, which he's done before, all of a sudden maybe you're like, yeah, maybe I will. So I don't love what Phil's
I,
done, but again, I also don't think he's done anything that has like severely damaged him either. So
yeah.
like, I think he's fine.
He's not in a bad spot for next year. I mean, he could maybe do a little bit better, but he's again also at the mercy of like what was being offered. So
Yeah.
from what I've said, when he's kind of sent out messages and all that, and didn't get any quality offers. He tried sending some guys out, especially for the Valdez
Yeah.
and Hancock guys and Marsh, and nobody really wanted them. So I think
Well,
those
as
guys
weird as it sounds, I actually think based on all the teams we've looked at Krim's team who's been awful. We've looked at Jordan's team who's been awful. I think in terms of next year, and I know we kind of do like a little bit of like future asset rankings thing. I do think Phil's kind of in trouble because I don't see many keepers on his team at all.
you're
Uh,
overlooking some guys because you're overlooking Joe Ryan and
no, I'm not.
Ohtani. I think
Joe,
he's got
Joe
one of the best rotations going into next year.
Joe Ryan's if Ohtani stays at 85 innings and he doesn't pitch another inning this year, are you keeping him at 36?
Yeah, yeah, I am.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, so
Um,
you can't.
but
I mean,
no,
you can't argue with 1.79 ERA.
no, you can't. But that's not
No
worth
first pitch count inning.
for 85 innings. That's not worth $36 though. What
For 100, if you for what would be the inning amount that you would need in order for it to be worth it with those ratios?
120, 130.
Yeah, that's what I would say. That's what I would say. I say 120, 130. And I would expect like that's what the expectation is. And you can't expect 200 innings from just about anyone anymore anyway. So like
No,
if you just expect
because even saying
160.
150 is too high. 150, yeah, that's obvious. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
like if you expect 160 from your ace, then give
Right.
me 120 innings of Shohei Ohtani for 35 bucks at these
Well, that's
ratios.
what I'm saying. If Ohtani really doesn't pitch the rest of the year and he's stuck at 85 innings, do I keep him at 30s? I do think it's not as obvious as you think.
Yeah, I only get next year's numbers. I don't get this year's numbers, and I expect next year he'll be back up to 120 innings or something
Yeah.
like that or so. So I'm
But I
not
mean,
just
yeah,
because
he's
he
got
pitched
Joe
85 this
Ryan.
year doesn't mean he'll pitch that many next year.
I think Parker Messick is one to look at too because
Yeah.
he's obviously been very, very
So
solid.
I think yeah, because if you look at it, it's like so his one and two are Joe Ryan, Ohtani, like that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Then you got Parker Messick as your three. You have your closer and Chapman. You have Kinderly early maybe. You got probably not Cabrera, but Musgrove. I know you don't like Musgrove, but if he comes back and shows something in the last month of the year, like this is
$26.
actually a decent rotation. I think that's probably better pitching than Jordan has. Might be. I think it might be better pitching than Krim has.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot to go because
I think Schlitter's better than both those guys, but
I'm not keeping Cal Raleigh, and there's nothing else really keep him on the offense. I think Riley Green has, he's been a hot topic for a long time. If he stays around 22 homers and 70 RBIs, he probably is not a keeper at $30. I don't think his stat line is bad, but it's not $30 good. Christian Walker, again, we talk about how easy first base is. He's going to be 36. Is that keeperable at 18? Again, it's probably right on the cusp. And then
Mhm.
you got Langoliers, who's a keeper, but um, maybe he doesn't have as many keepers as Spelling and Jordan, but he's got some more high tier ones, I guess.
Mhm. Well, I guess the bigger difference between like him and Jordan is he's got a better pitching staff than Jordan, but it's also way more expensive. So,
Yeah.
we're
And that's what we
looking
were
at
talking about with Krim and Jordan is they don't have like pretty much anybody that costs money. So, yeah.
exactly.
And really,
So,
at the end of the day, I'll say it. Joe Ryan is a keeper at 35 next year. The aces that are thrown back in next year are going to go for 40, but like there's not many pitchers that are going to go for that much. So it's like you're probably getting him what, $5, $6 off. I mean, it's not like it's like some huge savings. You're keeping him no matter no shit. He's great, but you're not saving $20 on Joe Ryan either.
yeah. So I don't think he's in a like a bad spot. I think he's gonna be fine. I think we trust the GM too to be
Yeah.
just like he'll be back in the mix next year. All things considered, I would expect.
Oh, sure.
So we head to Tyler's team now, who got his dealing done early, and we're a fan of this, of the moves that he's made
Yeah.
earlier in the offseason. He has not made a move since the last podcast, so we don't have anything new to talk about. Do you think that he would get the highest grade of any of the sellers so far when you compare him to Jordan, to Krim, and to Phil?
I'd have to look at like the whole landscape of what he's gotten, but I mean, obviously Soderstrom, CJ Abrams has still been very, very good. I know you're not the biggest Max Muncy. I know he's going to be older. What does his role look like next year? I get
He
that. So that
drafted him, yeah.
yeah, that's a little dicey. But in terms of like everything going on, I do like what he's done. I think Hunter Green, well, again, we have a whole month and a half left to see what he does. If he's close to 2025 Hunter Green or even a little bit less coming off the injury, I mean, I think easily one of the best strikeout pitchers in the league, right? You probably keep him. Nolan McLean's been fantastic. Bryce Miller's been. We talk about some rotations going into next year. I said this on the last pod. I mean, Wheeler, Miller, McLean, Green. That's going to stack up. I mean, that is going to stack up next year. I know Miller hasn't had the innings yet this year, and I know Green hasn't either, but like if we're talking going into 2027 opening day and those four guys are ready to geared to go, I don't know if there's going to be much better than that. I mean, so Tyler's got a little bit going on there with that. Again, I think a lot of these lower tier teams are closely situated. Phil, Jordan, Krim, all these guys where they don't really have the superstars outside of Cam Schlitter, but they do definitely have some cheaper all of these teams. Again, I don't see an expensive keeper on his team outside of maybe Hunter Green. And again, I'm not even saying you keep him at 36 yet because again, same thing I just said about Joe Ryan, right? Is that kind of around where he's at? So to me, all of these teams have no expensive keepers. They've all done a good job of not handcuffing themselves with expensive contracts. There's no reason the 4 to 5 worst teams in the league aren't the biggest spenders in the draft next year. And they'd be stupid not to be.
Yeah. I mean, would you trade Hunter Green for O'Neal Cruz both ways?
I think I would.
Would Chad? But Chad, I don't know. Oh, I
I
guess
think
he's not really
honestly,
counting on the
I'll
depth at
believe
all.
it. I'll be honest with you. I think that actually, when we looked at Chad's pitching and saying, he could really use that third, I actually think that makes perfect sense for Chad because we know that Chad's lineup's there and we know it's been there. Again, you're taking a little bit of a money hit, but in terms of like what I think Chad needs now, and it helps him now,
Mhm.
when he theoretically doesn't even have a playoff spot.
Yeah,
So
he's not even locked into a playoff. He might need those innings right now. He might not be able
So
to afford to
yeah,
wait.
I actually think that makes perfect sense. And then again, it takes away the is Hunter Green a keeper for Tyler, and it is yes, O'Neal Cruz is a keeper, right? It secures that. Bam.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, the thing I like about what Tyler's rebuild is like you have guys that, like I said, you can wrap your arms around and be like, yes, you are keeping these guys, whether it's CJ Abrams, whether it's Akamoto, who's kind of probably slowed down a little bit, but you're still definitely keeping him with what he's at, even if he kind of slumps the rest of the year for less than $20. He's gonna end up with 25 homer, even if he slumps 25 home runs and 90 RBIs, you're probably gonna keep that anyway for a young guy. Well, he's
Right.
not young, but he's baseball young, I guess. And Soderstrom for 7. He's slumping as well, but I think for $7, you're still probably gonna keep them. And sure, you might put his numbers up next to Spencer Steer, but Spencer Steer has never put up the kind of numbers that Soderstrom had last year with the 25 home runs, 93 RBIs. I would imagine. Wait, did Steer have a 100 RBI season? I may be talking
No,
about my ass here. I
I
don't
don't
know. I
think
might
so.
be confusing him with somebody else. I thought there was somebody on the Reds that put up some really good counting stats over a couple of years. Um, so there and then yeah, the pitching obviously is pretty great. Where you acquire Zach Wheeler. I mean that's an A piece right there. Bryce Miller and McLean are guys he already had, and he
Yeah.
acquired Hunter Green. So I'd like to maybe see him turn Hunter Green into because I don't think he really needs him, and I'd rather just have the salary savings. If he could turn Hunter Green into like a surefire keeper, he doesn't need to trade
Guaranteed
him.
keeper, right?
He
Because we're
he
still
can.
unsure. Is that worth $36 next year?
Yeah.
It's literally a wait and see,
Yeah,
right?
he can keep him if he wants to. It's kind of wait and see. But if somebody's willing to, pony up for him, then I could see that. Like, I
Maybe
mean,
a
if I
Leo
were you,
DeVries.
If you needed the pitcher right now, you could trade Henderson for him, but I don't think
Yeah.
you need
But
the.
again, there's even part of me that maybe trusts Henderson a little bit more. And like, why not keep him at $2, you know? Henderson's been great, man.
So.
We'll see.
So I do like the work that that's done so far. I mean, I wouldn't say that every trade was perfect. We reviewed them all in the last pod, but I think that he's done a pretty solid job. He's in a good spot heading into next year. So I'd like to see him maybe get another offensive piece or two before the year's over, but we'll kind of see. All right, finally, our last team we have the Wahoo Maniacs, who, as of an hour ago, is saying the fire sale has started. So, the fire rises, as Bane says, and it's tough because he's kind of hung on to a playoff position as long as he could. He's not eliminated yet. He's kind of sitting there. Looks like my browser starting to freeze a little bit here. He is sitting here at 7.5 games back, it looks like. So something like that. 6.5 games back. Same as Chris, actually. So he's certainly not out of it. A good week, he could be right back in the thick of things. I don't think he needs to start it now, but if he gets a good offer, then yeah, sure, go for it. Do you think that he is the kind of pieces to impactfully change the playoff landscape of a team?
You're talking Justin?
Yeah,
Um, no, but again, this is where you got to get creative, right? And this is, and I think there's some guys here that can do things for a playoff rotation. I think Jared Jones in 40 innings has looked solid over a Kane inning. You probably keep him, right?
yeah,
$4, I would
he's not
keep
gonna
him.
move him.
But when it comes to some guys, like to me, I would shop around Christian Yelich. I would shop around maybe even like a Josh Naylor. Because again, Josh Naylor, as much as I loved that deal to begin the year, he is having a down year. And it's one of those things like I don't think he's a keeper at $23 right now. He's not giving you any power. He's not giving you any RBIs.
He used to be a counting stats guy, but
Yeah,
holy
he
cow, 37
100%.
and 37 in a full season. Ugh.
Yep. He's still giving you the steals. So to me, I would you say Bryce Harper's right at that range of a keeper, but he's also
Yeah.
playing a non-great fantasy position where it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so to me, if the right deal came along, really those bottom three names in his lineup, Yelich, Harper, and Naylor, I would look around and try to do whatever you can to get something for him. I
I
really
know
would.
Justin's a big fan of Harper, so it'd
He
take a lot
is.
to pry him.
Exactly. And I don't see anything
Easily.
wrong with keeping him at 33 because I do think that's going to slate around where he's at.
Yeah. Basically on
Um,
pace for almost 100, 30 home runs, almost 100 RBIs, and 8 steals.
right.
So that's fine.
But for a team that needs hitting, like for example, just for fun, I don't know if you do it, but you're in a playoff race right now. You need to make it. If I told you Acuna would come back day one of the playoffs, okay, exactly day one, but you need to make the playoffs right now, would you take Harper and Naylor for Acuna?
Mm, uh, yeah, I'd consider it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I entertain some Acuna's offers early in the season, but he's looking like he's coming back this week. So,
Right, exactly. And that makes a difference, yeah.
um,
And that's where I'm trying to find where that works for him. But like even like pairing Yelich and Naylor somewhere, like who needs some offense? I know again you're talking two guys that have under 10 home runs, so it's not like you're oh my God, these are great numbers. But like if someone has guys in their lineup that they're not really loving, like oh yeah, why not have Yelich and Naylor in there? So I don't think there's a room for him to like get something major back, but I definitely don't wouldn't like to see like Yelich and Naylor get
what
thrown
what
back
should
in
I
there.
offer him for Naylor? Because I could use a first base upgrade.
Uh, let's see.
$5 Paredes or $6 Paredes. Is
Yeah.
that an
I mean,
upgrade?
honestly, I feel like that's perfectly fair. I would even argue a Royce Lewis, as much as he's been hurt. I would even argue a Royce Lewis would do it. You know,
Mm.
at least in my perspective.
With
Yeah,
Royce Lewis healthy, I don't know who the better player is though.
yeah. But that's a huge what if that happens every single year.
Yeah, well, he's healthy right now. If he gets hurt, I would do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah.
But
If I was Justin, I would take Paredes for Naylor. Yeah.
yeah, hmm. Yeah, something worth thinking about. Because the only thing is like, how do I need RBIs? And I wouldn't expect that to be a downgrade in RBIs, and it is.
But you also kind of need steals, and he would literally lead your team in steals.
Yeah, I don't know if I need steals anymore because
Yeah.
I haven't had steals now that I have Trey Turner and hopefully
I
Acuna
know, but
coming
how
back.
crazy is it that Trey Turner has less steals than Josh Naylor?
Yeah, uh,
Josh
we
Naylor
do
is
this every
sleeping,
year with
man.
Josh Naylor.
I've actually heard Josh Naylor's like sprint speed is awful, but he is just so
Yeah,
good at reading pitchers. Like
yeah.
his IQ on the field is like bar none. Like he is so good at it.
It's another team that's not in a bad position for next year, though. When you look at some of the values that he has, with Colson Montgomery, who's having a huge power breakout. Michael Bush, who he'll have for
Yep.
10. He'll have McLean if he wants to keep him for 3, which I still probably would, even though the numbers aren't there. That's tough. That's tough. McLean for 3, but he flashed up in spring training, I guess, to
Wow.
maybe,
I've always
yeah.
liked McLean and I've kept waiting for him to break out, but soon he's going to be 27 and then he's going to be 28. And it's like,
Yeah.
when's this happening? When is this going on? Yeah.
Yeah, I like as I'm saying, and I know I wouldn't. It's not fair for me to trash Spencer Steer for 2 and then build up Matt McLean for 3. So I get it.
I'd
Can't talk
keep
out of
him.
both
I
sides of
mean,
my mouth.
especially in his prime, I'd keep him. And then Jared Jones, I'd keep. I think the Luis Castillo keeper was obviously not a good decision. We said that was one of the worst keepers coming in, but
Yeah.
Soriano, Iglesias and Smith should both be closers next year, so you get to go in with two closers at
I would
35.
trade Iglesias at 36 years old, though. I'm not going to bank on a $16
Yeah.
closer.
I wouldn't be against it. If the right deal came along though, not for a maybe keeper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
not for a maybe. So
Yeah.
I think
And
he's
there's a
in.
couple teams that need a closer. I mean, Dana needs one. Chad needs one, I think.
Yeah,
Dex doesn't need one, but you need one.
yeah.
So yeah, I could see that moving.
Yeah, no, I think all these
Right.
bottom teams are really in interesting spots where the only thing I worry about with Justin's a little bit is if he does keep Harper, if he does keep that's really his only big contract because a lot of these other teams we talked about don't have any big contracts they have to keep. They're going in with like tons and tons of money and he still should. So really a lot of these bottom 4 or 5 teams again should have tons of money to spend. Yeah.
Who says no? O'Neal Cruz for Cade Smith.
The only reason I'd say no from Justin's perspective is going into next year with the number one closer in the league, probably for $19. I might take that over O'Neal Cruz, but I can see where O'Neal Cruz was surging, the 5 tool type player guy. But I do think I think it's close. I think it's
Yeah.
close. Yeah,
Uh, hey, well, that's 2 hours. The quick
that's not
45
bad.
minutes you said.
That's not bad.
We didn't even do in-depth breakdowns too much, but yeah. Any more bold takes or something? I think I kind of hashed out
Yeah,
most of my trade ideas that I was thinking because it seems like Chris and Justin are like the wild cards left that haven't really sold that could. Tyler
maybe
doesn't have much left.
Bryce.
Prim doesn't have much left, but and at the end there, it's some of the interesting piece with like Hunter Green and stuff.
Right. And maybe Bryce, but again, Bryce is in such an interesting spot to me where he's literally seventh and you get money in the top 3 in Roto, right?
Yeah,
He is seventh in Roto, and that's why his team's so fascinating to me because he's seventh in Roto, and he is, I think, the only team in the top 8 that is literally has a category that they're last in and a category that they're second to last in. So
yeah,
like when you look at RBIs and stolen bases for Bryce, he's literally second to last in that. He could climb a lot. I mean, he's literally 20 RBIs away from going from 13th to like 7th.
hmm
Like that's doable, right?
yeah.
And then he was also he was literally last in steals where he's 8 behind that and then there's a little bit of a cluster. Bryce is one of those weird teams where like he could be out of it in head to head, but like if he theoretically made the right trade for RBIs and steals, like there is a path for him to cash in
Tough
Roto.
to find an overlapping player that does both of those though.
Right, yeah. But I mean, there is a path where he could climb up those tiers. He doesn't have to pass the guy in third place or so. He just
Yeah.
has to pass those bottom teams and climb his way out. So kind of interesting there. Yeah. And
In
that's
in,
where
the in theory, you know who the piece is? It's Josh Naylor.
yeah.
Historically, he's an RBI guy, just not this year. And obviously, he's a steals guy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But yeah. All right, Eric. I think that just about does it for us. Unless you have anything else you want to get off your chest, any other motherfucks to say or anything like
No,
that.
I think we might do like a quick little tiny one, like literally a tiny one. I think when maybe playoffs come, just to give our final like playoff predictions and all that stuff. But obviously, we know not many people are going to be tuning into that, especially if you're out of it. But I always like doing our end of the year, maybe November, December, end of season pods. Always fun to kind of look at future assets and stuff like that. But this is kind of, I'd argue, our last kind of like big one of the year. So
Probably. All
it's
right.
been
Well, all right. So off rip before we go. You are a new expansion draft, and you're a new owner. We have 15th team, or let's say 14th team. You get to take over any roster starting in 2027. How would you draft the rosters that you see in front of you right now? So you are taking over a team in 2027. Who do you think has the best roster right now heading into 2027? And and beyond.
Oh
And
man,
rank them.
Oh, that's tough. I'd probably have to do a little bit more homework on that. I don't know. That's tough. Yeah.
I
I
it might be for the first time ever, it might be Tyler, number one.
it
Um,
could be.
to build around that pitching staff, and it's not like there's no offense there, and just a lot of values. I think there's some versatility there.
Well, here's my thing too, and weirdly, and then this is not me hyping my own team up at all either. I weirdly held on to a lot of players and not traded in because I also feel like I have Lazardo at 11 next year,
Mhm.
Henderson at 2, Gosman at 15. I have Savage at 12. I have Caminero next year. I got Freddie Freeman still. I mean, I think I won't have as much money as some of those teams, but I think I'm one of the playoff teams that will go in next year and still have a lot of my core. While I think a lot of these playoff teams like Dana and like some others, maybe even yourself, are in more of a reset mode, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
might be hurting. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the end of the year finishes up. Because I mean, there's a lot of guys on the cusp. I need Acuna to play well if I want to keep him. I need Corbin Carroll to play well if I'm going to keep him. I need
Yeah.
Langford could get the D this year, but
Yeah.
I just gotta stay on the
Call,
field and play healthy. So
call me crazy just looking at this rosters, and I'll say it, and it's just because of everything. I think you could argue it's Chad still.
yeah, that's what I kind of pulled up here, where it's just like, is it
Sal
still good?
Stewart, McGonigal, you know.
He doesn't have the pitching until you look at Chase Burns for 20.
Right.
That's kind of still demoralizing. So, the
Well,
offense
and
is
here's
still
my
going to be
thing too.
solid.
All when we talk about these big contracts, look at his big contracts, right? Otani, he's not keeping.
Mhm.
Okay. Gunnar Henderson, you're not keeping that at that price. You're just
Yeah.
not. It's yeah. Vlad, you're not keeping. What's his expensive contract? I mean, literally,
Kurtz for 42.
Hurts for 42, and then what? Burns at
Uh,
20 is next. Munoz,
yeah,
maybe I don't
yeah.
think you're keeping Munoz with the year
I
he's
don't know.
so literally Chad's gonna go in with Sal Stewart, McGonigal, blah blah blah.
But I think
Which
everybody's got money. There's not going to be a lot of teams that don't have money. I don't
no,
think.
and that's why again,
Because
and
there's not
again,
a lot of
I'm
high
not trying to.
salary guys that are going to be kept, I don't
Right,
think.
and that's why I'm not trying to harp on it, but next year I've said is kind again not a reset year. That was really just that first 3 year period where you really saw that. You're never going to see quite like that again. But like even with the D contracts being implemented, next year's draft is going to have a lot of names in it. And
Mhm.
again, that kind of brings me back to my Brent Rooker point. It's like you said, everyone's going to have money. Why keep Rooker for thirty
But
dollars?
if
And that
everyone has money, doesn't that mean everybody's going to bid everybody up?
maybe, well, dude, we'll see. We thought that with
Maybe
the
the first
pitchers.
time ever. It seems like every year I'm like, why aren't these guys going for more every single
Yeah.
year?
We thought
Maybe
that
this
with
will
the
be the first
pitchers
year.
this year, and Burns and
Yeah,
Mizorowski went for 20.
everybody needed
Even
pitching.
before draft,
Yep.
Mizorowski and Burns were high prospect pedigrees. I
Yeah.
even said with such small sample sizes, I still think they go for 25 plus. And they
Hmm.
did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know. I was wrong. I thought there'd be at least a couple pitchers
Even
for
Sonny
30.
Gray, even a guy like Sonny Gray, we just talked about him earlier.
18.
He went for 18. I
Kirby
thought,
was the only one that was overpaid.
yeah, I thought Sonny Gray would be around that same range, $25. I really did.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall it's going to be exciting though. We got about 8 teams left, maybe for 6 spots though. So it's going to
Yeah.
get winding down here soon.
It's gonna get hasty. All right, Eric. Thanks for joining me. Well done once again.
Oh yes.
And we will till next time. Oh, now we're frozen. Oh, wait for it. Oh,
Uh-oh.
there's